He was just a normal high school student in the modern world, but for some damn reason, this kid was suddenly transported to a strange, new world. But it didn't stop there. The first thing Ashway unwillingly had to do in this world was get his hands tied to be used as bait for a monster, all while he was still trying to figure a way out of this screwed-up situation. Suddenly, the two who kidnapped him shouted, "It's here!" Surrounding the small boat was the shadow of a massive, colossal sea monster. It was coiling and thrashing. The man, Master Zhang, frowned. "This is bad." Didn't they say the sea monster was only half a man's height? It's bigger than we imagined." Just one thrash nearly capsized the boat. The other guy, Zhang, looked horrified. "It's huge. It's coming this way." Master Zhang spread his feet, ready for battle, preparing his technique. 10 years of hard study in seclusion. The moment to unleash my world-shaking single-strike fist has finally arrived. All these years I've been waiting for this very moment. This single punch contains 15 years of my power. Do you think you can withstand it? Just as he finished speaking, the sea monster rose up to his level, its mouth wide open, ready to eat him alive. With one chomp, the goddamn boat shattered. The man and Ah Shui were left teetering on a piece of wood. Before the rest of it could capsize, the guy named Zhang screamed, I can't die here! With that, he whipped his head around, looked at Ah Shui, and stabbed a knife straight through the middle of his hand. The pain made Ah Shui let go of the boat's wreckage, and he fell into the water, fresh blood pouring out continuously. With his hands tied, there was nothing he could do. Ah Shui tried to chew through the rope with his teeth, but it was no use. The scent of blood attracted the sea monster's attention, and it swam towards him. Ah Shui was fading, his eyes fluttering open and shut. "I'm really not going to make it." In his moment of despair, the image of his father appeared before him, along with his urgent voice. "Ah Shui, you fool, wake up!" He wished so badly that this vision was real. Ah Shui reached out, hoping to touch his father's hand, but what he actually touched was the side of the boat, right on the spot where a carving of a father and son was. This was his father's boat. Just as he lifted his head before he could even take a few seconds of oxygen, the sea monster dragged him back down. With a muffled scream, Ah Shui struggled until the end. The water was getting deeper and deeper. "I tried my best. Dad, I'm so sorry." Soon he was dragged to the very bottom. The moment it opened its massive maw to take a bite, a notification appeared in the water. "Domain Cauldron is being activated. Collectible domain spirit detected. Collection successful. Water control ability can be awakened." A few more notifications appeared. "Collectible domain spirit. Water ape is being collected. Collection complete. Refinement successful. Body restoration in progress." Suddenly, Ah Shui's eyes snapped open. He was still underwater. The young man was stunned. "Didn't I die? I just died in the water." Ah Shui was startled again. A mystical blue light enveloped his body. "Huh? Why does being in this water feel like walking on land? It seems like the resistance has disappeared." Looking at his hands, the young man couldn't understand what was happening. The system announced, "Ability, water current control has been successfully acquired. You are consuming stamina to control the water current." Even more shocking, this water control ability also allowed him to breathe perfectly underwater, and the wounds on his body had healed. Right behind him, the sea monster stared at him with greedy green eyes. It immediately opened its jaws. Startled and terrified, Ah Shui reflexively threw his hands up to block. Suddenly, he felt no movement. He opened his eyes to see the sea monster being held back by glowing blue streams of water. The young man was bewildered, sweating. Did I create these water currents? Could this be the system that they always talk about in novels? This means, in the water, I'm no longer restricted. I can even control it. The sea monster struggled violently, trying to break free. Ah Shui looked worried because his control was limited by time. The moment it ran out, the monster would be able to chomp down on him. Realizing that he couldn't keep this up forever, he tried to think of a way to subdue it when the system suddenly announced, "Ability, Blood Talisman Dominion. Collection successful. Effect. By using the host's blood to inscribe an ancient talismanic script, a contractual relationship can be established with a water beast." Ah Shui's face lit up. "This is it!" The sea monster charged up from below. He quickly used his water current control technique to restrain it temporarily. After struggling for a while, it broke free again. Many red sigils now appeared on Ah Shui's hand. He activated his power and charged straight towards the sea monster. Ah Shui's eyes were blazing as he thought, "So this is a battle of willpower, huh? Is it about to fail?" His face began to change, and fish-like scales appeared on his skin. Remembering the image of himself gasping for air in an oxygen mask, Ah Shui told himself, "I must survive." He activated his power one more time. "You beast! Submit to me now!" Using every last bit of his energy, he fought it to a standstill until he finally reached the shore. As he lay sprawled on the grass by the riverbank, the young man let out a sigh of relief. I'm alive. The sea monster's silhouette suddenly emerged from the water, but it no longer had its ferocious appearance. Ah Shui looked straight at it with confidence. Of course. I finally managed to tame this monster. The monster's information appeared. Cauldron Master. Ah Shui. Refined Domain Spirit. Water Ape. Fusion Rate. 5%. Water Domain. Essence. None. Tamed Water Beast. Primordial Ape. Huh? Consume 80 points of Water Domain Essence to evolve. Evaluation. The Water Ape. Domain, spirit originates from the Great Lord of the Huai River. It can stimulate those with weak or flawed life forces. Ah Shui gave it an order. Don't worry, just stay here. I'll call you if I need anything. After taming it, he and the beast had formed a mental link, allowing them to communicate at any time. Or it could just contact that water monster. That kid can just go back to the water. Atui rubbed his growling, empty stomach. I need to go home, find some food, and get some proper rest. Luckily, I have a map of this area in my memory. My house isn't far from here. The scene changes to a certain village. Butler Trin is walking with a few other people, including Head Zhang. The common folk behind them are whispering amongst themselves. Who are they? Are they heading to Atui's house? It's Head Zhang and people from the trio residence. It looks like Atui's caused some trouble again. Hearing Atui's name, his friend Li Laba jumped. Oh no. Atui's in big trouble. The four of them marched towards Atui's house. Head Zhang sneered to himself. Once that brat Atui is dead, won't all his property be mine to handle? Just in time to make up for the failure of this mission. It's all that weakling Zhang's fault anyway. Just like that, he kicked the door open and forced a sycophantic smile. Butler Trin, please, come inside. But he didn't get to feel smug for long. Inside the house was Atui, sitting comfortably, yawning widely. He was so shocked he could only point at the boy. Why? Why are you still alive? Atui looked at them with half-lidded eyes and asked back, What are you guys doing here? Butler Triu, whose name was Trin Huang, looked annoyed. What's all this nonsense about being alive or not? Why are you always in such a damn hurry? Head Zhang quickly bowed to curry favor. Lord Trin, that's him. That's Atui. Trin Huang let out a cold laugh. Oh, so you're Atui. I can't believe you're still alive. You really are fortunate. Head Zhang chimed in with a mocking tone. That's right. Disasters always live long lives. Trin Huang didn't waste any more words and waved his hand. Seize him. Atui jumped back and shouted, What do you think you're doing? Head Zhang let out a wicked laugh and threw a punch straight into his gut, making the boy double over in pain. Still asking why? Master True hired the martial artist Lord Zhang to subdue the water monster to protect the villagers. And you? How dare you conspire with the water monster to harm Lord Zhang, causing the trio residents to suffer heavy losses? The entire village was put in danger as well. Atui retorted angrily, You're the ones who set a trap and used me as bait for the water monster. Head Zhang laughed as he got closer to the boy's face. His voice was full of feigned indignation. You caused Lord Zhang to lose his life and you still dare to come back? You've got some nerve. Not only that, you're a monster. The word monster struck him like a bolt of lightning. Painful memories of his past life flooded Atui's mind. An outcast, a child with no father or mother, always falsely accused of being a thief, laughed at and shunned by everyone. He clenched his fists, his eyes blazing with rage. The fat man sneered, Ooh, there are those monster eyes again. If you've got the guts, why don't you try and hit me? Atui's fists tightened, his breathing heavy, his eyes burning with fury. He growled each word, his voice sharp as a knife. A monster? If I'm a monster, then I'll show you what real cruelty is. Without hesitation, he lunged forward, landing a devastating punch on the fat man's face. He staggered back, blood spurting from his mouth, facing the astonished gazes of the crowd. Atui remained defiant. Even if his ability was discovered, he would absolutely not submit. With a fierce will to survive, he struggled with all his might against the henchman's grip. But when he finally broke free, he stumbled and fell. Even so, his gaze was sharp, burning with the fire of battle. He gritted his teeth and thought, Even if I really become the monster you say I am, I'll still take a piece of you with me! Head Zhang slammed the fan in his hand, his face twisted in anger. He roared, You dare to lay a hand on me? Butler Trin, I told you, let's just drag him back to the true residence. Aren't we short on people to feed that thing? I think this fatherless, motherless brat seems just about right. Trin Huang narrowed his eyes at Atui, his expression thoughtful. He spoke slowly, his words dripping with cold cruelty. You have two choices. 1, become Master Trio's adopted son. This matter can be overlooked. 2, I will break your legs today. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding villagers began to whisper. Adopted again? I heard that none of the people taken into the trio residence have ever been heard from again. The Trail residence has been taking in a lot of people lately. It's so strange. Before the murmuring could die down, an old but resonant voice made everyone jump. Let me see who dares to bully little Atoi here. Everyone turned their heads in unison. A gaunt but imposing figure, leaning on a staff, walked in. It was the village chief. He struck his staff firmly on the ground, his voice deep and powerful. I'm not in the ground yet. Trin Huang froze for a moment. His face darkened, but he tried to suppress his anger, pointing at the old man and shouting, You meddling old! Before he could finish, the village chief's eyes widened, cutting him off. You what? This old man holds an official position in the imperial court. Do you dare attack a serving official? Even your master Trio has to show me some respect. If you continue to be so insolent, this old man will lie down right here and now, and we'll see what you dare to do. That statement hit like a heavy blow. Trin Hung's face turned red with anger, but he didn't dare act on it. He gritted his teeth and let out his frustration with a cold humph. You ungrateful old man. I won't settle this with you today, but just you wait. This isn't over. With that, he flicked his sleeves and turned to leave. Head Zhang didn't forget to shoot a venomous look at Ah Tui, a cold smirk on his lips. Just like your father. Ungrateful. After saying his piece, he quickly followed the group from the Trio residence. The tense atmosphere gradually subsided. The crowd murmured for a while longer before dispersing one by one. The village chief stood still, watching the figures disappear, then slowly turned to Atui. His voice was deep but full of warmth. Some troubles are best avoided if you can. Atui bowed his head gratefully. Thank you, village chief. I will remember your words. The village chief nodded in satisfaction and left. The surrounding villagers also gradually dispersed, leaving Atui standing there alone. He lowered his head and clenched his fists. I can be saved this one time, but what about for the rest of my life? I can't just keep relying on others forever. Looking up at the vast blue sky, a fierce determination swelled within Atui. This system. This is my chance. The moment that thought appeared, the system notification panel also immediately appeared before his eyes. Discovered water essence. Pet evolution progress plus 0.1. Atui stared blankly at the notification panel. Water essence. Atui walked to the lake's edge. The faint moonlight reflected in his eyes, creating a mysterious beauty. He raised a hand to his forehead as if summoning something. After taming the Tai Hua crocodile, he could now summon it at any time. Through their spiritual link, gentle waves began to ripple across the lake's surface, spreading out in circles as if a giant creature was about to emerge from the water. Atui waited anxiously, his heart pounding. But as the water gradually calmed, only a tiny crocodile, no bigger than his forearm, appeared. He frowned, looking at the creature before him, his voice filled with doubt. Where's my big crocodile? Instantly, a line of information appeared before his eyes. Tamed water beasts can adjust their body size at will to control energy consumption. Evolution progress plus 1. Current state, chibi crocodile. Extremely low energy consumption. Tui's eyes widened in surprise, and then he couldn't help but burst out laughing. He thought to himself, as expected of the system. It even has a feature like this. But then he suddenly remembered something. He quickly turned to ask the small crocodile, That's right. Where did you find the water essence? Lead the way. The crocodile immediately shook its head and plopped into the water. Atui took a deep breath and dived in after it. In the clear water, the small crocodile swam nimbly. It led him into a cave filled with moss. Faint light pierced through the water's surface, creating shimmering, mystical bands of color. Atui couldn't help but marvel. This cave is truly magnificent. Inside, strange planets grew everywhere, emitting a faint glow. Their winding roots, like tentacles, gave off a mysterious blue light. Suddenly, the system's voice rang in his head. Spirit plant containing water essence detected. Please select absorption method. Atui was stunned. This world truly contained natural treasures that he had only ever heard about in legends. He mumbled to himself, I heard that in the backyard of the Trio residence there's a cold pond where rare spirit herbs grow at the bottom. Old Master Trio still uses it to attract martial artists from all over. If I could find those things... He shook his head, pushing the thought away. For now, these spirit plants were precious enough. Atui bent down and picked up a branch, his eyes filled with excitement. I wonder how much water essence this can give me. He turned to the little crocodile, chuckling. You helped me out a bit, too. The moment the crocodile heard the request for help, it flopped over and played dead. Atui froze, helpless. You're so lazy I should call you can't be bothered. Resigned, he had to gather the spirit plants himself. After gathering enough, Atui climbed onto the bank and carefully observed the strange plant in his hand. Without hesitation, he took a bite. A cool, refreshing taste spread throughout his mouth, along with a strange energy flowing into his body. The notification panel appeared. Absorbed water essence. Water spirit 8 fusion degree +2. Accumulated water essence points +10. Atui took a deep breath, feeling the surging energy within him. He continuously picked up the remaining spirit plants and continued to absorb. Water essence +1. The notifications chimed endlessly. Soon his stomach was full, so bloated he couldn't eat another bite. Atui sat down and let out a satisfied sigh. Just then, the system panel appeared again. Refining water spirit ape. Fusion degree 7.5%. Water essence 0. Water beast commander Tai Hua crocodile. Consumes 800 water essence points to evolve. He looked at the notification panel in surprise, his eyes scanning the stats for the fusion degree of the water spirit and the evolution level of the water beast. After a moment of thought, Atui decided to prioritize increasing his own strength. Without hesitation, he reached out and pressed the Add button. Instantly, a stream of pale green energy spread throughout his body, making him feel like a powerful tiger awakening within. His body gradually changed, his muscles tensing, becoming more flexible. The streams of water around him seemed to start listening to his commands. His strength increased rapidly. His ability to control water currents had now reached 45 kilograms, enough to face those who had bullied him in the past. Next, I'll need to accumulate more for a few days. I can't absorb any more today, Atui pondered. Right now, the most important thing was still his financial situation. Autumn was about to end, which meant the crocodiles would soon go into hibernation, and his fishing would be temporarily interrupted. Suddenly, a thump sounded beside him. He looked down to see a large fish had just landed right next to him. Surprised, he turned to see his little crocodile looking at him smugly, its tail wagging gently in the water. Atui couldn't help but laugh, hugging the little crocodile and praising it repeatedly. Not bad at all, you've got potential. His temporary financial crisis could be solved. He just needed to take the fish to the market to sell. The next morning, with a full money pouch in hand, he wore a satisfied smile. A large golden fish sold for a whole 80 wen. That wasn't a small profit. The merchants in this world were easier to persuade than the vegetable sellers from his past life. He realized that doing business wasn't too difficult. His financial problems and the water essence were now stable. Now he needed to find the time to settle the score with Lai Dao Trong. Speaking of him, a voice suddenly sounded from behind. Oh? Isn't this Atui? Hey, we just had a little misunderstanding the other day. I was just looking for you to apologize. What a coincidence. My boat is right nearby. Let's have a good meal together and clear up all the misunderstandings. Don't worry, it'll just be the two of us. Lai Dao Trong smiled brightly, but a treacherous glint flashed in his eyes. He thought to himself, just the two of us, you say? Model, let's see where you can run now. However, Atui was not one to be easily fooled. He smirked, a knowing look flashing in his eyes as he met his opponent's scheming gaze. He replied in a casual but meaningful tone, Good, just the two of us. I feel much safer. Just then, the system notification panel appeared. 80 wen received. Water beast cannot move. Water monkey fusion degree. 7.5%. Late at night, faint moonlight washed over the small courtyard, making dim shadows dance silently on the ground. Lai Tojong knelt, panting, his face covered in wounds with dried blood caked at the corner of his mouth. In front of him stood Trin Huang. His face was cold, as if concealing countless schemes. Trin Huang spoke in a voice devoid of emotion. Lately, the experiments in the manor have run into problems. Quite a few people have lost their lives. He glanced at Do Trung, the corners of his lips curling into a knowing smirk. The manor is short on medicinal ingredients for alchemy, and Atui is an orphan with no relatives. Do you understand? Lai Do Trung bowed his head, clenching his hands into fists. In a hoarse voice, he said, I understand. That kid, Atui, can't escape. I'll tie him up and bring him back tomorrow. Trin Hung leaned down, bringing his face close to his. His eyes were sinister. If you do this well, old Master Zhao will ask those lords to help you become an immortal. Hearing this, a crazed glint appeared in Do Trung's eyes. His entire body trembled with excitement. Really? Am I also going to become an immortal? Of course, Trin Hung laughed coldly. Do Trung was so excited he ripped open his shirt, revealing a body covered in wounds. Amidst the torn skin, strange red characters were clearly visible. He tilted his face to the sky, his eyes bloodshot, and laughed like a madman. I'm going to be an immortal! It's finally happening! Ha ha ha! The scene changes. The clear, calm surface of the river reflects the dawn. A light fog drifts gently across the water like a ribbon of silver. A small boat drifts lazily on the azure river. On the boat, a pot of fish porridge emits an enticing aroma. Dao Trung gently stirs the porridge, a cunning smile on his lips.
Atui, see? The scenery here is so beautiful. There isn't another boat in sight today.
As he spoke, he secretly dropped a red pill into Atui's bowl of porridge. His tone was deceptively friendly. Let's have a nice meal together, as a way to resolve all our misunderstandings. Atui frowned, his eyes suspicious. Are you sure there are no other boats around? Dao Trung burst out laughing and nodded affirmatively. Of course, I've surveyed the area thoroughly. He celebrated silently, imagining Atui being poisoned and writhing on the boat where no one could hear. A wicked smile began to spread in his heart. Once you drink this porridge, no matter how much you scream, no one will be able to save you. However, at that very moment, Atui suddenly stood up, his gaze as cold as a blade, piercing straight through Dao Trung. His voice was low, carrying an unpredictable danger. Well then, that's good. Dao Trung jumped, his face turning pale.
Atui, you...
Before he could finish his sentence, a powerful stream of water suddenly shot up. It wrapped tightly around his face. Dao Trung's eyes widened in panic as he flailed his arms wildly, but he could only feel the water rushing into his nose and mouth, choking him. His trembling hands tried to salvage the situation, but there was nothing he could do. His breath grew faint. Amidst the violent waves, Atui stood still, observing coldly, his expression unwavering, as if looking at a piece of prey about to kick the bucket. Night fell, the sky pitch black. The faint moonlight cast shimmering rays on the water's surface. Dao Trung slowly regained consciousness, his head dizzy and his body numb from being tightly bound. He looked around in panic and was startled to see Atui sitting there. His smile was gentle, but it concealed a chilling, murderous intent. You slept well, didn't you? Atui's light tone sent a shiver down Dao Trung's spine. He trembled, his voice stuttering. What do you want? Atui stretched leisurely, his gaze indifferent but his tone sharp. I hear you received quite a few benefits for dragging me into the Zhao Manor, didn't you? At least 2 taels of silver, wasn't it? Hearing this, Lai Dao Trung's face turned pale. He hurriedly begged, Atui, please, let me explain! But Atui paid him no mind, simply casting his cold gaze into the distance. His voice was slow, laced with mockery. Do you recognize this place? Dao Trung frantically looked around. Suddenly, he felt his whole body tremble, his face turning pale. Isn't this the place where it happened that night? The water monster, right? Immediately, the surface of the water churned, and a colossal black shadow appeared behind him. Under the dim moonlight, the water monster's sharp teeth gleamed, creating a hair-raising sight. Dao Trung's eyes widened, his jaw dropped, and his entire body froze. His voice became choked. The water monster? Atui chuckled softly, reaching out to pat the giant crocodile's chin as if playing with his pet. It used to be a water monster, that's right, but now it's my pet. Weren't you the one who called me a monster? Lai Dao Trung trembled, hurriedly kowtowing and begging for mercy, tears and snot streaming down his face. Monster! You really are a monster. Please spare my life. I can tell you everything. He maintained his calm demeanor, his cold gaze sweeping over him. His voice was light but sharp. Then you can explain why Butler Trin wants me in the Zhao Manor. They've been recruiting more people recently. What exactly is their scheme? Lai Dao Trung no longer dared to hide anything, answering with a tremble. Those people, they're all ingredients for Master Zhao's immortality pills. He needs living souls to refine the medicinal ingredients to create the elixir of eternal life. No one who is brought into the manor ever comes out alive. After listening, Atawi's eyes grew pensive, and his face darkened slightly. He said softly, So, you've captured quite a few innocent people, haven't you? Lai Dao Trung desperately tried to clear his name. No, I was forced. I had no other choice. But in his heart, he cursed, Damn you, one day. Old Master Zhao and his followers will definitely turn you into an ingredient for his pills, making you wish you were dead. Before he could say more, a sharp stone appeared in Atui's hand. A quick slash across Lai Dao Trung's neck sent fresh blood spurting out. He looked at him with a cold gaze, his voice as light as a passing breeze. But you've seen too much. Dao Trung's eyes bulged. His mouth hung agape, but he couldn't make a single sound. His body trembled in spasms before being swiftly dragged into the cold water by the alligator's claws. He sat motionless on the boat, his eyes glowing with a faint blue light in the dark. They dragged me to the manor to use me in their alchemy. If I don't get rid of them soon, I'll be the one who ends up dead. A gentle breeze rippled across the water's surface. He took a deep breath, his gaze lost on the horizon. I need to find a powerful backer, to buy myself time to get stronger. Under the river, strange symbols on Dao Trung's belly began to emit a bizarre light. Then, it sank to the bottom of the river, vanishing without a trace. Personal status. Gold pouch. 2 tails. Crocodile monster. Unmoving. Water ape. Fusion compatibility. 5%. Above the water, a stork perched on the boat was suddenly startled by a waving hand and quickly flew off. A tui, soaking wet, climbed onto the boat with a smile. He looked at his hand and exclaimed happily, "Man, having real power is so convenient." A tui then emptied the fish out of his basket. "It's been 3 days since I killed Lai Dao Trong. To cover my tracks, I've been pretending to be a normal fisherman, going out at dawn and returning late at night to sell fish. I haven't gone near the lotus pond since. I just got this new boat by trading for it. As for the old one, I used Lai Dao Trong's disappearance to get it. At least that's the story people heard." He clenched his fists in anger. "That damn Lai Dao Trong!" Lai Dao Trong was a bully. A tui grew tense, realizing, but the Zhao Manor won't just ignore his sudden disappearance. Eventually, the trail will lead back to me. He frowned, his resolve hardening. The only way I can protect myself is to become a martial artist and fast. And a tui knew exactly what he had to do next. The fastest way to become a martial artist was to join a dojo. Bin Duong Town had 3 of them, and the strongest was the Yang Martial Arts Hall. He'd already done some research on it. They say the headmaster of the Yang Martial Arts Hall has the legendary ability to split gold and shatter stone, which is how they maintain their top spot. A tui lowered his gaze, his mind made up. If I can just get into that dojo, the Zhao family wouldn't dare to mess with me. A missing member would be a huge headache for the dojo after all. He looked up, scratching his head, his eyes squinting in thought. But it costs at least 58 taels to join. Right now, I only have 2.8. Looks like I'll just have to earn more money. The Tai Hoa alligator looked up at him strangely. But then a tui turned back, a smile on his face, his optimism returning. "No use worrying about it. Ever since my last level up, my body has been slowly adapting to its growing power. My spiritual power has grown a lot too. I can probably tame another 2, maybe 2.5 unmovings." He walked to the bow and looked down at the water with excitement. "Let's get back to fishing." A tui dove into the water. He could feel the changes in his body since his awakening, moving with increasing agility. He glanced excitedly at his companion. "Unmoving, let's continue our race!" Racing the unmovings has been his training method lately. The Tai Hoa alligator glanced back in acknowledgement. The current below was incredibly strong, but he surged forward, swimming with confidence. This move, a water control ability, compresses a massive amount of water under my feet before exploding outward. I've already weighed the pros and cons. Its main weakness is that it's not sustainable, and it burns through my stamina fast. But for a moment, the burst of speed is unbeatable. Suddenly, a figure zipped past him, catching his attention. What was that? When he got a clear look, he realized it was this world's treasure fish. Some creatures in this world evolved special powers. This species of swamp fish, called the treasure fish, is one of them. Looking closer, a tui realized there were 2. A wide grin spread across his face. It's rare to even see one of these, and today I found 2. The 2 treasure fish crisscrossed in front of him. A tui pointed ahead and commanded, "Unmoving, you get that one." The Tai Hoa alligator shot forward, growing in size. It locked onto its target, eyes gleaming, and swam ahead. A tui, for his part, quickly dove after the other one. He glanced down in frustration. "Damn it, I should have brought a fishing net." A vortex of water began to swirl around him. He thrust his hand forward using water control. An unlucky treasure fish was trapped. A tui quickly swam in and grabbed it. Holding the fish, he broke into a triumphant grin. "Gotcha!" Behind him, a monster with glowing eyes appeared. The system interface displayed various categories. Gold, 2.8 taels. Unmoving. A Feijai Ding. Water ape. Fusion compatibility. He put his catch in the basket, his face beaming as he did the math. Not a bad haul for today. This should fetch a nice price. Suddenly, something shot out and wrapped itself around a tui. He was violently yanked backward, dragged away before he could even react. He coughed up a mouthful of blood. The creature, a fae, drew closer with a ferocious look. A tui gritted his teeth in pain. "What the hell is this thing?" Then he realized what it was. "I've heard stories about a man eating 6-whiskered catfish at the bottom of the Niatin River. Just my luck to run into it." A tui immediately sensed the imminent danger. "What's this now? It's going to attack again." But he was a step quicker, attacking first. "Water control!" A fae's eyes widened in clear surprise. A tui breathed a sigh of relief. "That was close." Lucky I was quick on the uptake. It had lunged so suddenly it scared him. How sneaky. After a moment, a tui looked closer and realized, "Is that thing smiling at me?" Suddenly, a fae seemed to act strangely. The Thai Huangak attacked it with its tail. The Thai Huangak's reaction in the water was incredibly fast. It lunged forward, opened its mouth wide, and bit into Afai's neck. He praised it with satisfaction. Well done. Unable to move, Atui rested his hand on a rock below. Seizing the opportunity, he lunged forward, thinking to himself, "It's come to this. If I don't defeat it, I'm dead." At that moment, Atui used his own blood to fight. Blood subjugation talisman. I have enough mental power, I should be able to subdue it. The system continuously sent warning notifications. Warning. The host's actions will lead to a mental power overload. It is recommended that the host cease this action. Excessively low mental power will cause the control over the water beast to backfire. Host, please cease this action immediately. Cease this action immediately. Warning. Mental power is approaching a critical level. Stop immediately! Warning. Mental power overload. Atui's eyes flared with a brilliant light. The beast seemed to be affected by this as well. After a while, Afai lost all strength to resist. The boat was still floating on the water's surface. After a moment, he struggled to climb up from below. Atui lay on the boat, panting heavily from exhaustion. Finally, I'm back. I never expected that catfish's mental power to be so strong. That was a close call. A smile spread across his face as he glanced over. But then, Atui looked toward the water's surface, extremely satisfied. The reward was great, though. The system then offered another suggestion. You have subjugated the six-whiskered catfish. Evolution is possible. You can spend 800 points of aquatic essence to evolve the six-whiskered catfish into a tiger-headed catfish. He propped his chin on his hand and sat up, making a decision. You're so fat, let's just call you Afai. Atui emptied a few fish from his basket. Next, it's time to deal with these spoils. But then, the Thai Hua Ngak opened its mouth. It was a treasure fish. Atui gently patted its head and praised it. You really are reliable. There were many different kinds of fish on the boat. He put one fish into the pot to cook. First, I'll eat a small one to see if it can strengthen me. After he finished eating, only a skeleton was left. Atui picked something up, satisfied. This little piece would make a great souvenir. Then, the system sent a notification. Aquatic essence plus 18. He looked closer at the panel, calculating carefully. 18 points. That's comparable to 18 random essence pieces. Atui rubbed his chin and muttered, If a small fish is like this, then a big fish must be at least 3 times that. It could be up to 54 points of aquatic essence. My current fusion rate is 7.5%. With the big and small fish, I can easily surpass 10%. He then crossed his arms and sat looking at the pile of fish. But I have to be patient. Right now, the most important thing is earning my tuition fees. But this should be enough. A new item has been added to Atui's inventory. Gold, 2 tails, and 8. Immovable, Afai, Track Din, Water Monkey. Fusion rate, 7.5%. The scene changes to a bustling market. The bustling Kaotang market in Nghiahung. Atui arrived and glanced around. He noticed a corner and felt curious. The monthly festival just passed last month. What are they celebrating now? Kitsung held up a fish and shouted his sales pitch. Look here! This is a once-in-a-century treasure fish, weighing 1 catty, 3 liang, and 6 hua. Seeing it was Tran Kiet Sung. Everyone excitedly gathered around to see. A treasure fish? It's real. That kid from the Tran family is really something. This also caught Atui's attention. He caught a treasure fish too? He pushed into the middle of the crowded throng. Make way! The people glanced back, looking extremely annoyed. Isn't that the Lung family kid? Are you in a hurry to die? Kitsung Tan held the treasure fish out for him to see. Look! Atui leaned in close and whispered boastfully. It seems the river god is really looking out for us from the upper wharf. To catch 2 treasure fish in one day? A seemingly annoyed man frowned and corrected him. What nonsense are you talking about? That kid from the Tran family only caught 1. Then he reached into his bamboo basket and rummaged around. I said the second one wasn't his. Then Atui pulled out a treasure fish, beaming as he emphasized, It's mine. But the onlookers not only didn't believe him, they burst out laughing and asserted, You call an ugly fish like that a treasure fish? He probably just found a random fish and is trying to sell it for a high price. They continued to erupt in loud laughter, causing him to look back helplessly. Kiet Zung, with one hand on his hip, smirked and glanced over. Suddenly, a figure approached from a distance, exclaiming in admiration, Isn't that a red snow perch? Seeing Hote approaching from afar, everyone quickly recognized him. Isn't that the great master from the Dung Thi Martial Arts Hall? It's really him. His aura is truly extraordinary. Hote walked straight up to Kiet Zung and asked directly, How much are you selling it for? He was a bit shy, sweating and scratching his face. Master, what do you think is a reasonable price? Hearing this, Hote slowly asked for more information. How much does this one weigh? Zung quickly calmed down and replied, 1 catty, 7 liang, and 6 hua. Hote smiled slightly, then made an offer. How about 3 taels, will you sell? Hearing such a good price, Zung excitedly agreed. 3 taels, sold! Just then, a T suddenly held up his treasure fish and offered, Master, take a look at mine. The surrounding people heard this and showed their disdain. Look at yours? Loong family kid, you're truly shameless. If you anger the great master, we'll all be dragged down with you. That's right. Hote's eyes widened as he glanced over, quickly recognizing it. Oh, this is an oxhorn bonefish. He happily lifted the treasure fish higher and provided the details. That's right. 1.5 catties, 2 liang, and 1 hua. So it's called an oxhorn bonefish, huh? He held up his fingers and proposed a price. This one, 6 taels and 5 coins. Will you sell? As soon as the surrounding people heard this, their jaws dropped. 6 taels and 5 coins. Good heavens, my family hasn't seen 6 taels of silver in generations. Zung himself turned pale, completely stunned. A man in the crowd with a venomous tongue warned, Be careful you don't have the life to spend the money you earn. Atui paid him no mind and excitedly agreed, Sold! Meanwhile, Zung put on his basket, turned, and walked away. He respectfully clasped his hands in front of him and asked curiously, Master, I'd like to ask why my fish can be sold for double the price of the red snow perch. He also calmly and kindly explained in detail, the hard scales of the oxhorn bone fish can be used in medicine. Made into honeyed pills, they can refine one's qi and blood, helping to break through blood barriers. I'm facing this problem right now. It's extremely useful to me. Atui lowered his head obediently after hearing this. Oh, so that's how it is. Thank you, your lordship. Fortunately, I managed to keep the hard scale from that little fish. The sky was already turning to dusk as he sat on a street corner, pulling out his money to count. 6, 7, 8. Suddenly, a shadow drew close from behind him. Leba suddenly threw an arm around Atui's shoulder, raising his hand in praise. Well done, kid! You've really made the people of our town proud. Atui, startled, gave an awkward smile and broke into a sweat. Oh, it's you! I never got to thank you properly that day. He seized the opportunity, a sly grin spreading across his face as he held out his hand. So, why don't you just give me those 6 taels? Atui's face darkened with annoyance. He tucked the money deep inside his robe, then asked, Oh, right. Let me ask you something. Do you know what the recruitment fee is for the Yang Martial Arts School? Leba nudged Atui with his elbow, saying smugly, You've asked the right person. My dad is planning on sending me there. He then quickly explained in detail. Old Yang's school requires 7 taels of silver, which doesn't include room and board. 10 taels gets you a place to stay, and for 20 taels, you get lodging plus medicinal baths. Food is extra. It's a bit pricier than the other 2 schools, but it's worth it for their professionalism and reputation. Hearing this, Atui did a quick calculation and smiled. 7 taels from these past few days, plus the donations, and add the 6 taels and 5 coins I made today, and the 130 win from the fish I caught. I have 9 taels and 2 coins, that's enough! Then he pointed behind him and enthusiastically suggested, Then let's go register together tomorrow. Surprised, Liba gave him a playful punch. Huh? So you're secretly a rich man, are you? Then it's no problem at all. Suddenly, a voice called out, Found the treasure fish again! Sensing something was wrong, Atui whipped his head around. The scene changes to another location, underground at the Zhao Manor. Zheng Sung from the Zhao household reports, We still don't know where that Zhang Lao Tao is, but the trail leads to a kid named Liang Ju. The figure in front of him spoke nonchalantly. You don't need to bother me with such trivial matters every day. Handle it yourself. His expression grew pensive, his eyes narrowing as he observed Atui's inventory, which listed gold coin, battle tail, 2 unmovable coins, a fey, marsh cauldron, water hoozy, fusion level at 7.5%. As night began to fall, the boat bobbed on the water. Atui was chopping ingredients. The Kaihua gator glanced over at him cooking. The boiling broth smelled incredible. He was making a fragrant fish soup. Atui picked up his bowl and took a big gulp, then exclaimed, Delicious! Atui poured the soup down for his companions. Here, you guys have some too. System, marsh essence plus 24. He could feel the change within his body. As expected of a treasure fish, the refreshing sensation from the marsh essence is amazing. Even my physical strength has grown stronger. Atui turned his head, delighted, and said, I really got lucky this time. And to think a Fei was the one who found a treasure fish. He looked up, thrilled. That's right. It's time to level up. The oxhorn bone gave me 18 last time, plus 24 now. Atui tapped the screen, then looked at his hand, feeling an endless surge of power. System details, Cauldron Master, Liangju, Refining Marsh, Spirit, White Water, Hoozy. Fusion level, 11.7% marsh essence, tamed water beast, kaihua gator. Consumes 779 points of marsh essence to evolve into horn-eyed gator. Tamed water beast. Six-finned neon fish. Consumes 779 points of marsh essence to evolve into tiger-headed neon. Assessment. A Tui threw a hard punch into the air. It would be great if I had someone to practice on right now. He tried using his magic again. My water-bending ability has improved considerably, too. A Tui looked down at the two creatures and was surprised to see that just by drinking some leftover soup, the evolution cost for Bunandong and a Fei had also gone down. A system notification appeared. Reminder. Tamed water. Beast. Kaihua gator. Consumes 779 points of marsh essence to evolve into horn-eyed gator. Tamed water beast. Six-finned neon fish. Consumes 779 points of marsh essence. It can evolve into tiger-headed neon. A Tui looked at the marsh cauldron in his hand, feeling a sense of wonder. This thing is truly incredible. Was it created by someone, or was it just born like this? He looked down, examining it closely. For now, I can see one side looks like a yinglong, and another is a giant ape that looks like Wujiki. Another side shows various human-headed, snake-bodied deities, and the final side depicts the mysterious Black Treasure Great Emperor. A Tui clenched his fist, telling himself, well, no use overthinking it now. He felt a surge of excitement and silently resolved, I can finally go to the martial arts school tomorrow. I must get stronger quickly to deal with the Zhao family. The next day dawned bright and pleasant. Leba raised his hand and cheered excitedly. Let's go. He turned and asked curiously, Master, how long until we arrive? Leba pulled Atui by the hand, grinning from ear to ear. Liangjiu, look over there. After walking for some time, they arrived at Chenping-yang. The two of them headed into the bustling crowd. Leba took a bite of a bun, tears welling in his eyes. Wow, I didn't expect it to be this hot. He watched a craftsman at work, praising, such amazing skill. Then, the two of them went to watch a martial arts demonstration. The scene shifts to a dark, narrow street corner where a fierce-looking man was asking a question. Are you sure this is where that kid you mentioned is going to pass by? Wang Sheng, his face sinister, confirmed, Of course. He broke into a grin as he explained, I heard it myself. He made plans with that kid from the Li family. They're going to register at the martial arts school today. Yesterday, that brat made a whole 6 taels and 5 coins. Wang Sheng pointed down, emphasizing menacingly, Do you realize how much money that is? You couldn't even get that much if you sold your wife. The other man immediately stated his terms. 6 taels and 5 coins, and we won't get hauled off to the yamen. Men sneered, a look of utter contempt on his face. What the hell does he know? Giving the martial arts school that much money is such a waste. We're just helping him manage his finances. Wang Tang glanced towards a path, instructing them, To get to the martial arts school, you have to take this road. There aren't many people around right now. This is the perfect opportunity. Seeing 2 people approach from a distance, he reminded his underlings, Quiet down. They're here. They're here. Laba, who was warming up, asked, Shui, once I've mastered this, how many people do you think I'll be able to fight? The kid's expression turned serious as he watched. I don't know. Shui glanced around, looking worried. But with my current strength, I'm not sure how many I could take on. What if there are several of them? A thug rushed forward and shouted, Hey! But he stepped out with a sneer, demanding, Well, well, little brats, we meet again. Hand over all the money on you to yours truly. Wang Tang arrogantly presented 2 options. You can either hand over the money or my boys here will bury you on the side of this road. But the kid wasn't scared at all and decided, All right then, I'll choose to bury you guys on the side of the road. Provoked, Wang Tang became furious, lunging forward with his fist. You're asking to die! But Shui was a step faster, punching his opponent back. Another guy couldn't hold back. He attacked fiercely. You little punk! The kid glanced back, reacting even faster. Shui decisively grabbed his opponent's hair. He used the momentum to throw the man into Wang Tang. That man's nose was bleeding, causing him to panic. Wang Tang's face showed pure shock. Before he could react, he took a punch right to the face. Seeing this, Laba broke into a cold sweat, his eyes wide with astonishment. So fast. The fight was over in 9 minutes. He looked down at the ground, seeing the results of his work. Shui clenched his fist and breathed a sigh of relief, praising himself. As expected, my physical condition has improved significantly. He walked closer. He felt extremely confused and asked, When did you get so strong? Do you even need a master? The kid averted his gaze and scratched his head, his face darkening as he dodged the question. Maybe I'm a genius. After that, Shui walked straight ahead, reminding him, Let's go. If we don't leave now, we'll miss the recruitment session. Laba glanced down, remaining silent. After a while, the two of them arrived at a large mansion. Trong Tung clasped his hands and introduced himself. My name is Huang Trong Tung. You two junior brothers can call me senior brother Huang Trong Tung. The two of them also raised their hands and smiled in return. Hello, senior brother Huang. He walked ahead, pointing the way. Please follow me, you two. I will take you to a different training session to test your skills. At the same time, I'll explain the details of the martial arts school. At another location, Trong Tung pointed and instructed, This is senior brother Ho. He will be teaching you. He is a direct disciple of Master Duong. Ah! Shui's eyes widened as he quickly recognized him as the martial arts master who bought fish the other day. Hearing that, the man turned around in surprise. He was also surprised and smiled. He quickly recognized them. Oh, it's you two. Trong Tung was also baffled that they knew each other. What a coincidence. Senior brother Ho, you know these two junior brothers? He turned his head happily and introduced, The ox-horn bones that I used for my breakthrough were bought from this little brother's stall. Trong Tung pointed behind him and instructed, Well, that's great then. You guys go and practice martial arts with senior brother Ho. You can rest for one night at the school today. The two of them clasped their hands and bowed. Senior brother Ho. He waved them forward, urging the two of them on. Junior brothers, follow me. Next, I need to test your physical foundations. Hearing that? Shui broke into a cold sweat, his eyes filled with confusion. Physical foundations? Hearing this, the man chuckled and quickly explained, Don't worry too much, it's just to select your main training focus based on your physique. The boy spoke up to express his desire. The two of us don't know anything about the martial path yet. We would like to ask senior brother about the specific principles. The man stroked his chin and looked up, analyzing. Principles, huh? The martial path is divided into a total of 4 gates: skin, flesh, bone, and blood. He explained each type and its functions clearly. The skin gate, your skin becomes as tough as cowhide, unable to be torn, greatly increasing your defense. The flesh gate, your strength increases dramatically, enough to take someone down with one hand. The bone gate, you can release your power even more freely, to the point of smashing rocks and breaking tablets. The blood gate, that's the icing on the cake, increasing your overall power. He held up one finger and frowned, noting, But in reality, the most fundamental thing is a single word: training. Of course, no matter how much an ordinary person trains, they'll hit a ceiling. To break through this limit, 2 things are indispensable: method and medicine. To use an analogy, it would be a book and a bottle of medicine. The two of them were stunned by this. Method and medicine? He confirmed and then pointed out clearly, That's right. Method refers to the training techniques. For example, our Duong martial arts school has 3 fist techniques. Only with a method can a person have a ladder to climb higher. The boy became even more curious, his eyes fixed on him as he asked for clarification. So it must be a type of cultivation technique. What about the medicine? Hearing this, he explained in a simple way, The method is the ladder to climb higher, but this ladder is steep and treacherous. You need a handrail to move quickly and steadily, and this handrail is the medicine. He continued to emphasize the information. The ox-horn bones that you sell are the medicine that we need. In his heart, Shui was feeling lucky. This is great. With Jai Ding, won't it be easy for me to obtain these things? He gave a gentle smile to reassure them. You two junior brothers don't need to worry. The path of martial arts is long and winding. You still need to pay attention to the ground beneath your feet first. The boy also cheerfully held out his hand in suggestion. Thank you, senior brother. Then please, senior brother, test my physical foundation. In the distance, a group of people was observing. Diantai had a cryptic expression on his face as he looked out and wondered, Is that the person young Master Trio Ba was talking about? Lo Diantai, a man standing behind him, confirmed. Yes, as long as you kick these two out of the martial arts school. Hok Nguyen's face turned vicious as he agreed to the previous arrangement. I can help you take care of that matter you mentioned. Trio Hok Nguyen. The scene changes to another location. A person comes forward to report. Master, this Luong Ku is only 15 years old. What a perfect ingredient for pill refining. He's the same age as the 3 young masters, and he's an orphan. At that moment, Trin Huang hatched a scheme. All I have to do is capture him and refine him into a pill for young Master Trio's body. Hong Vian also delightedly agreed with this idea. Nguyen Yi has been weak since he was little. Finding a rejuvenation embryo of the right age is so difficult. This Liang Ju is truly the best ingredient. But as he learned more, he grew worried and hesitant. But I heard this kid is planning to join the Duong Martial Arts Hall. With Duong Dong Hung's personality, it'll be hard for us to make a move. After hearing this, he quickly left. Well then, my lord, your subordinate will take his leave. A picture of a Tui fell to the ground. The person who picked it up widened his eyes with determination. I must obtain the immortal pill and transcend this mortal realm. Whoever blocks my path, Hak Nguyen declared with an extremely vicious face, dies! Lap Ba pointed, his face twisting in shock. I never would have expected this from this kid. To think he has the best aptitude, while I'm just upper mid-tier. He shook his head repeatedly from behind, unable to believe the scheme. And so, he glanced away, trying to create a diversion. This must be a natural gift. Lap Ba, somewhat dejected, chased from behind. Wait for me! Atui remained resolute, urging him on. Hurry up and get to the training grounds. Suddenly, he opened his eyes wide, completely stunned. Huh? Lap Ba quickly recognized the person standing in front of him. Tran Kiet Chuang. He approached with a hostile attitude, questioning him. Why are you here? Why are you? Why can't I be here? Even you can get in? He put both hands on his hips and arrogantly retorted, and why couldn't I? Lap Ba angrily got in his face, veins popping. You little punk, are you asking for trouble? He didn't hesitate to issue a challenge. What's wrong? You want to fight? Atui smiled and tried to mediate between the two. We're all from the same town. Forget it, forget it. Then he turned his head and greeted him warmly. Hey, Brother Kiet. Tran Kiet Shuang is also from Hung Town, 2 years older than me. He's the most famous fish catcher in town. He had a good relationship with the previous owner. Atui smiled and asked about his situation. Brother Keet, are you here to practice martial arts too? He clenched his fist, showing his determination. That's right. In this day and age, who doesn't want to be powerful? So last time I sold all my fish, gathered enough money, and came here. The boy cheerfully made a quick suggestion. Then let's go to the training ground and join practice. Senior Brother Hu is already over there teaching. Lap Ba also became frantic, turning his head to urge them on. Right. If we don't go now, we won't get to participate. A powerful punch was thrown forward. Many people were standing there, training. Lap Ba's face contorted as he trembled uncontrollably from behind. The other two were also struggling. He raised his hand high and shouted loudly, Stop! He then turned to address everyone there. Everyone is now free to rest for a while. This afternoon, Instructor Lo will guide you in continuing your training. Lap Ba sat down, panting and complaining, so tired. I'm already starting to feel like giving up. Kitsung looked down and shook his head in contempt. Pathetic. Suddenly, an unpleasant voice rang out. I was wondering where that fishy smell was coming from. Dean Tai gritted his teeth, hands on his hips. It stinks to high heaven. Can you scram a little further away? DNY agreed, adding his own comment. Yeah, were you three born from the belly of a fish? Then he held out his hand, gesturing for money. Each of you give us 2 taels, and we'll let you 3 stick around. Hearing this, Lap Ba stood up angrily. You... Kiet Shuang put out a hand to stop him. Calm down. Don't cause trouble for Senior Brother Hu. Atui also watched intently, growing tense. With my current strength, I can't handle these 3. Dien Tai cracked his neck and knuckles, his face darkening. What? Still want to trade a few moves? Come on, then. I was just about to have a breakthrough in my training and wanted to test my skills a bit. Hearing this, he grew tense and began to calculate. A breakthrough? If we were in the middle of the river. He gritted his teeth in fury. Damn it! Suddenly, Senior Brother Hu's voice rang out. Lo Dien Tai! What are you 3 doing? He pointed behind him and ordered, If you have nothing better to do, go over there and hold the horse stance for an hour. He scowled resentfully, muttering, Consider yourselves lucky, kid. But there's no place for cowards here. He shouted again with emphasis, Didn't you hear me? Dien Tai didn't dare hesitate any longer and ran. Coming, Senior Brother Hu! From behind, Lap Ba flipped him the finger. Damn it, scumbag! Kiet Shuang remained calm, reassuring him. It's fine. Cursing him behind his back is useless. But Atui looked down, deep in thought, reminding himself, it all comes down to strength. I have to seize every moment to get stronger. Then he shouted loudly to the other 2. Brother Keet, Laba, I need to head home for a bit. Please ask for leave for me this afternoon. Atui sprinted off in the opposite direction. Laba, completely baffled, became flustered. What's wrong with Atui? Kitsung was just as puzzled, but he could only let it go. Who knows? But Atui had already sensed that there was a problem. The lotus field was in danger, there was an enemy. That's the source of my strength. Nothing can be allowed to happen to it. As night fell, the 2 of them paced around. Laba, with his hands on his hips, looked up worriedly. It's been a whole day and that kid Liang Ju still isn't back. Kiet Shuang turned to him, looking completely unfazed. Why are you getting so worked up? Atui probably has his own business to deal with. Laba became furious and turned to him. Are you trying to pick a fight? At this, he couldn't hold back either. You little brat! You're really asking for a beating! Suddenly, a loud noise echoed from behind them. Dien Tai's arrogant voice rang out once more. Looks like the heavens are smiling on me today, letting me run into the two of you again. He smirked, a sinister smile spreading across his face. Senior brother Who isn't here to protect you today? The two of them gritted their teeth and stared ahead, tense. Dintai raised a hand to his wicked face and declared, "Let's see if I don't cripple the both of you." The scene shifts to Atui amidst reeds. By now, he was deep underwater. Atui rode the Tai Hoa alligator further down, his face tense with worry. Kong the Dong and Afai have already reached the secret realm level, yet something could still make them wary enough to send for me. What on earth could it be? From behind a patch of seaweed, Atui peered out. It's here. Seeing the tracks on the ground below made him tense. Damn it! Whatever made these tracks must be huge. The two beasts behind him suddenly flinched. He looked ahead, recalling his careful calculations. Last time, after eating the abalone, my fusion level reached 11.7. The amount of water I can control has increased to 70 jin. More importantly, my underwater perception has expanded by another meter. I can now gather information within a 6-meter radius underwater. Atui's face was covered in beads of sweat. He started to become cautious, his voice stammering. What is that thing? Is that the monster? After a brief observation of a part of it, Atui deduced, This is a geoduck? After seeing its entire form, he couldn't help but be astonished. This thing is way too big! Atui slowly backed away, wary of such a massive body. Could it be that it has become a spirit beast? According to Instructor Who, monsters that surpass the secret realm level in this world are all called spirit beasts. And with this size, I'm afraid this is definitely a spirit beast. He turned his head and keenly deduced, but it probably isn't too strong, otherwise, Adhong the Dong and Afai would have never had the chance to escape. Atui looked ahead, feeling even more lost. Can I do this? I don't have a plan at all. He gripped the weapon in his hand, hesitating. To get stronger, I really should stick to my plan. But this? The fierce image of Do Truong appeared in his mind. You monster! His tone was incredibly vicious and contemptuous. Just like your father, you don't know your place. Dentai had also thrown out hateful words, reminding him, There's no place for you three cowards here. Atui's expression was grim as he hunched his body over. But surprise and danger have always been a part of my life. He had always understood a certain truth, that the things that can change your life, you have to take risks for. The truly significant events all happen by chance. Only unimportant things have thorough plans. At that moment, Atui was filled with rage. He raised his weapon. I refuse to accept this. I don't have a habit of handing over what's already in my grasp to others. His expression darkened as he remembered one thing clearly. Old Man Trong wanted to take my life, and so he died. At this, Atui's resolve hardened, ready for battle. You want to steal my lotus field? Then let's see who's got more guts. His two beasts charged forward, and Atui quickly dove in between them. Back on the other side, Kiet Shuang was struck across the face. Swoosh! Diantai squatted down. I have to admit, you're pretty tough. Where's that friend of yours from the same village? As he fell, he quickly grabbed a rock. Kiet Shuang smashed it right into his face. He went to go see your grandpa. Diantai's expression darkened, but his mouth twisted into a smile. He didn't hesitate to stomp his foot on Kiet Shuang's face. Diantai's eyes widened with malice as he declared, I see the two of you are really looking to die today. He turned his head and ordered the lackeys behind him. You three, go guard the gate for me. I want to torture these two slowly. They quickly agreed. Yes, sir! Laba shot to his feet, throwing a punch. Damn it! Diantai's hand shot out, quickly grabbing his fist, then he twisted Laba's arm back. Diantai crouched down, a sinister smile on his face. Damn it, you sure talk a lot. Go on, say more. He then lifted Kiet Shuang's hair, mocking him. And you? Those eyes have quite a bit of spirit in them. Diantai held out 2 fingers, threatening. I'll gouge those eyes out for those 2 hunting dogs to practice with. Lying in the distance, Laba shouted a command. Open! Stop it, you bastard! Those fingers moved closer and closer to one of his eyes. A blood-curdling scream rang out, followed by a loud command that quickly shouted, Stop! At this moment, a notification rang out from Atui's inventory. Kong the Dong has consumed 740 points of water marsh essence. A Phi can evolve into a horned-eye alligator. Consuming 700 points of water marsh essence can evolve it into a tiger-headed siltfish, peak water monkey. Fusion rate, 11.7%. Back on this side, the crab's pincer clamped onto the rock. With just a light squeeze, the hard rock shattered. Atui reacted quickly, swiftly dodging out of the way. He gritted his teeth, feeling the immense difficulty. Damn it! This crab's shell is truly unbreakable. Then, Atui quickly gave an order. Immobilize it! Wrap around it! The Tai Hoa gator quickly obeyed, biting onto the crab's pincer. He took advantage of this opportunity. He quickly used the water flow control spell. Just then, a Phi swam up from behind. Atui coughed a few times, starting to sense the danger. This is bad. I couldn't control my mental power, and it led to a backlash injury. The spirit crab's pincer struggled relentlessly. It curled up to protect itself. A Phi seized this chance and charged straight in. Atui smiled as he watched. He praised with delight. A Phi. Beautifully done. The spirit crab became incredibly furious. It stomped its feet violently below. The spirit crab used its leg to crush the lotus roots. Atui's eyebrows furrowed. He couldn't believe it. Damn it! My lotus roots! He charged forward decisively to attack, but unfortunately, Atui coughed up a mouthful of blood. He retreated a long distance to gather his strength. Atui would not swallow this insult. You will definitely die here today. The spirit crab swam past him from above. At that moment, he keenly noticed it. So you have a weakness too, huh? It swung its pincer down violently, but Atui managed to dodge. A tense expression was clear on his face. Then he quickly ordered his two beasts, immovable! A Phi! They immediately rushed forward to attack and assist. After a while, Atui finally figured it out. No matter how much damage it took, it would instinctively protect its belly. In that case, its belly must be the weak spot. He swung his weapon behind him to build momentum. I've been thinking about this move for a very long time. Then, he compressed the water he could control to its absolute limit into the tip of his wooden spear. Atui gripped the weapon tightly, resolute. Right now, his only choice was to expend all his mental power to forcefully create two rings. This would give the wooden spear a two-stage acceleration. Suddenly, the system sent a warning reminder. Critically low mental power will cause the water beasts to turn on you. Host, please cease this action. But even now, he showed his determination. But I've already made my decision. Let's see which one of us is stronger. A powerful beam of light erupted from that spot. The spirit crab was unfortunately hit by the attack. Atui's sharp weapon plunged straight through. The lotus field is mine! That burst of power pierced right through the spirit crab's body. His face was radiant with excitement. I won! Atui closed his eyes, a smile on his lips. Beneath the water's surface, there was only silence and air bubbles. After a while, he opened his eyes wide with a look of astonishment. He sat up straight, clutching his head in confusion. How did I fall unconscious? Atui smiled brightly and patted their heads. So you two saved me, huh? Thanks. He stood up straight, holding his aching head. My head hurts so much. Looks like I'll have to be more careful when using that move next time. Then, Atui's eyes shot open, glancing to one side. He turned to see something enormous. What is this? After realizing what it was, Atui asked in alarm. This is that spirit crab? Did you two haul it up here as well? He drooled at the thought. Just how much water marsh essence will this crab provide me? The Taihua gator stood up and pointed towards one area. Atui walked over, curiously observing the situation. It's a female? He flipped it over to inspect what was inside. What's this? Are these crab eggs? What a pity. If I could have tamed a crab this big, my power would... Atui looked deeper inside, an exciting idea popping into his head. Wait a minute, I can't tame this big crab. But aren't there baby crabs inside these eggs? He sat down and looked at them on the ground. Can the taming blood seal work on these eggs? Atui used a sharp fragment to cut his palm. He touched the eggs with his blood, and the taming blood seal immediately formed a pattern on them. Atui stared intently at it, stammering with curiosity. Did it work? The egg began to move, shaking back and forth. A small pincer slowly broke through the shell. A baby crab crawled out from it, its eyes sparkling. Success. Tamed stone crab. Can be evolved. Can consume 8,000 points of water marsh essence to evolve the stone crab into a stone crab king. His inventory updated. Currency, 2 tails and 2 mace. Immovable. Consuming 740 points of water marsh essence can evolve it into a horned-eye alligator. A Phi. Consuming 700 points of water marsh essence can evolve it into a tiger-headed siltfish. Consuming 8,000 points of water marsh essence can evolve it into a stone crab king. Peak marsh water monkey. Fusion rate, 11.7%. The 2 sides of the crab shell split open, revealing the meat. As he was eating it deliciously, the system announced, fusion rate, 10.4%. The stats continued to rise steadily. Fusion rate, 14.7%. Fusion rate, 18.8%. And it just kept climbing, past a fusion rate of 36.6%. Atui exploded with a roar. The 3 creatures were also waiting beneath the water's surface. He looked down at his body in astonishment. All his wounds were healed. The 3 beasts watched him, their eyes sparkling. Atui looked at his own muscles, overwhelmed. To think the fusion rate could increase to 36.6%. Besides the physical abilities gained from eating the abalone, As usual, there was also the supplemental power from the fusion rate. He looked down at his chest and saw another change. Moreover, I can feel my blood energy. Atui looked at his fist, excited. Just as Instructor Hu said, I'm getting close to the Jiaguan energy level, maybe even stronger. Then he threw the remaining crab eggs down below. The rest of the eggs and crab meat are for you two to eat. Crab meat is hard to preserve, and each crab egg only gives 6 points of water essence. It's too little. Atui raised his hand, glanced over, and gently instructed, as for Fisthead, let's just skip it. It's too cruel for your own kind to eat each other. Since it was only the size of a fist, the small crab was named Fisthead. He furrowed his brow, tensely calculating in his mind. As long as I can break through to Jiaguan within a month, I can become a student at the Marshall Hall. By then, the Zhao family won't be able to threaten me. Atui broke into a smile, his decision made. The next step is to return to the Marshall Hall and join tomorrow morning's training session. Back over here! A voice rang out, stopping the action. Stop! Someone approached from a distance, reprimanding irritably, Liu Diantai, that's enough. Thieu Hoi frowned, his expression serious as he stressed, the Marshall Hall has its rules. But the other man just bragged, turning around. Oh, so it's Instructor Liu. Don't blame me for not warning you. Dealing with these people wasn't my idea. I'm representing the third young Master Zhao. Upon hearing this, the instructor's face darkened. Thieu Hoi continued aggressively, asking, I wonder, does a dog like you follow the rules of the Marshall Hall or the rules of the Zhao family? Thieu Hoi fell silent, not daring to speak. Emboldened, the other man stepped forward, pointing and laughing loudly. Look at this guy. You haven't even been out of the Zhao residence for more than a few days. And you've already forgotten who your master is? Diantai kept up his mockery. Back then, if the Zhao family hadn't taken you and your father in, would you even be here today? Wouldn't it be better to just be a pathetic dog clinging to life? You really had the guts to stand up for them? Go on, finish the job yourself. He gave a vicious smile and reminded him, Have you forgotten? Your father is still in the Zhao residence. Behave, and maybe I'll put in a good word for you. At this, the man's whole body trembled, forced to endure the humiliation. Father, as long as I can protect my family, I don't care what happens to me. I'm sorry. Diantai continued to point and jeer. That's right. Be a good, obedient dog, just like that. Lou the dog has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Suddenly, a glob of spit hit his face. Kiet Shuang, lying on the ground, burst out laughing. He didn't hesitate to curse him outright. Screw your father. I can't stand these pathetic tactics of yours. You're a complete disgrace. Diantai's eyes widened. He wiped the spit from his face, then viciously stomped on Lap Ba. Diantai pressed his foot down harder, demanding, A hero, are we? Are you? Keep going. He gave a malicious smile and declared, I'm not going to hit you. I'm going to torture your friends to death. Kiet Shuang, enraged, screamed, Damn it, if you have any guts, come at me! Diantai put his hands on his hips arrogantly and asked, You think someone is coming to save you now? Instructor Hu isn't here. What kind of backing could the two of you possibly have? Behind him, one of his lackeys was sent flying, blood spraying from his nose. Startled, Diantai spun around to look. A shadowy figure emerged from the mist. Atui, his eyes shining brightly, stepped into view. He glanced down at his two friends on the ground. Kiet Shuang looked up, his voice weary as he called out, Atui. Atui clenched his teeth, flames of rage igniting in his eyes. I want one. Just one. He declared without hesitation, I'm going to knock out every single one of your teeth. High above, two people were quietly observing. Senior Hu glanced over and spoke guiltily. Master, it's all my fault. I was so happy about breaking through the blood barrier today that I drank too much and arrived late. That's why this happened. Dong Heng looked down below, surprised. That Liu Thieu Hoi. I never realized he was such a cold person. With his hands behind his back, he remarked, Liu Thieu Hoi's personality is a bit cold, but his heart is still good. Today, however, he was stopped. Dong Heng observed intently before calmly commenting, This is one of the reasons he can't break through the blood barrier. A martial artist without courage is like a man without breath. Senior Hu leaned in closer and added, He just joined the Marshall Hall today. Liu Diantai, on the other hand, is close to the Biguan realm. He doesn't stand a chance of fighting back. But then, Dong Heng's eyes widened with interest, his attention captured. Wait, this boy's blood energy is quite interesting. A powerful aura radiated from around him. Diantai spread his arms out arrogantly. Smash me? You think you can do that? I already told you, Atui said from below, clenching his fists. I'm going to smash every last one of you. He charged straight towards them without hesitation. Diantai wasn't fazed, pointing and ordering his lackeys. He's just a lowly fisherman, get him! Attai swiftly launched a powerful kick. He easily dodged all of their attacks, then immediately countered with a punch to that guy. The kick came from an arrogant goon named Dean Gia. Take this! He turned back, furious, ordering, "You rotten brat, stop messing around!" Dingia let out a yell, only to be met with a hard slap to the face. Atui's eyes opened wide, unflinchingly challenging him. "It's your turn." Duyantai, still arrogant, showed off his power. "You think you can match me just because you beat them?" The spreading bloodlust was a characteristic of one about to enter the breakthrough stage. He frowned, his gaze firm. The other man, not to be outdone, glared right back. The two of them repeatedly charged, clashing head-on. Atui gritted his teeth, tense. He threw an uppercut, catching him under the chin. He spat out fresh blood in pain. Atui cracked a confident smile. "So this is all you've got?" Duyantai then pulled out a sharp knife. "You're nothing!" He stabbed him straight in the abdomen. But a stinking fisherman. Duyantai kept pulling the knife out and stabbing him again. "Who do you think has your back? You're just a lonely orphan all by yourself. What the hell are you?" He even stabbed him hard in the palm. Atui's face darkened. "You are a total disgrace." He threw another powerful punch. "You despicable coward!" Duyantai was punched hard and fell to the ground. Only then did Atui regain his composure. Duyantai looked up, his voice trembling as he begged, Don't come any closer, Lo Tio Hoi." He kept taunting him to provoke a reaction. "Aren't you going to do anything? As an instructor, he's attacking a fellow student." He also gritted his teeth, hesitating and stammering. Suddenly a familiar voice rang out. "That's enough." A hand holding a staff appeared. Dong Hung, with a decisive attitude, loudly ordered, "Lu Duyantai, Tiet Ding Nia, Vu Vi Lung, Hang Ku Tut. The 6 of you are no longer needed at this dojo." He turned and gave another order. "Lo Tio Hoi, get yourself into the detention room for me. Wait there until I come to deal with you." Tio Hoi obediently and quickly complied. "Yes, master." Hearing this, Atui had already guessed. "Could this master be the legendary Duong Dong Hung?" "What is it, Master Duong?" He stared down at the boy sitting on the ground. Atui clenched his teeth, growing tense. "But after making such a huge mistake today, the dojo probably won't let me stay." "Damn it." Duantai's words echoed in his mind once more. "Who do you think has your back? You're just a lonely orphan all by yourself." He could do nothing but accept reality. "Just as I thought, it's hopeless." Dong Hung then spoke softly, asking, "Your name is Luong Ku?" Atui, still looking down, obediently confirmed, "Yes." Then the master smiled and made an offer. "Are you willing to become my personal disciple?" He could hardly believe his ears. "What?" The master held out his hand as a gesture of goodwill. At that moment, Atui's inventory was also updated. Assets, 2 liang and 2 qian. Untradeable. Consume 726 points of water essence to evolve into a horned-eyed crocodile, a Phi. Consume 685 points of water essence to evolve into a tiger-headed catfish, Qian Dao. Consume 8,000 points of water essence to evolve into a stone crab king, Trak Din. Water ape fusion compatibility, 36.6%. Scene changes to the Duong residence. The atmosphere here was very quiet. The servants whispered among themselves, "I heard the master is officially taking his 9th personal disciple today. I heard he's a handsome young man." Suddenly, a girl walked in and called out, "Young Master Luong?" With her were several other young women carrying sets of clothing. The girl said, "These are the robes and items from your senior brothers and sisters. We sisters are responsible for helping you put them on." Atui replied awkwardly, "There's no need. If you ladies would please wait outside for a moment, I'll put them on right away." Hearing this, the girls giggled and turned to leave. He stepped inside and let out a sigh. At this moment, Atui thought to himself, "It's been 2 weeks since I defeated that Lo Duyantai." He recalled sitting in a tub of medicinal water, treating his wounds, as his thoughts continued. "The wounds on my body, as well as those of Tran Kiet Chuang and Li Lap Ba, have been treated by Master Duong. They're almost completely healed." Looking at the robes, Atui told himself, "Today I am no longer alone. I have a master, I have senior brothers and sisters, I have someone to count on." Determination rose in his heart. Zhao residence. Next, I will defeat you all. The scene shifts to another part of the residence. Someone's voice is heard. "The way I see it, a junior brother Luong really had a close call that night." It was senior brother Ho. He said excitedly, "Can you imagine? Someone who had only been at the dojo for a day defeated someone who was about to enter the breakthrough stage?" Hearing this, Tu Chao spoke up. "All right, little seven. I've been hearing that from you for 2 weeks now." Truong Tung also chuckled and added, "For junior brother Luong to have caught Master's eye at first sight, he must truly be a dragon among men." At this moment, Tao Nyuong and Trio Kam also appeared. She put her hand on Tu Chao's shoulder and said suggestively, "Fourth senior brother, Could it be that you're jealous of our little junior brother? What did you give him this time? He replied in a low voice. I gave him a tungsten arm guard. It was just a small expense. Hearing this, Luke Kwong, who was standing there, laughed with amusement. Senior brother Ho also chimed in cheerfully. Senior sister, don't tease fourth senior brother anymore. Being able to save up that much money was already very difficult for him. At this moment, Atui's figure appeared behind him. Seeing him, senior brother Ho called out, Little junior brother is here! As Atui stepped out, the hem of his robe fluttered in the wind. Atui was now dressed in a solemn and well-kept uniform. Seeing everyone, he called out, Senior brothers! Senior sisters! Atui stepped forward, clasping his hands respectfully. Luang Ku thanks all senior brothers and sisters for their gifts. Hearing this, Luke Kwong laughed and said, I haven't given you mine yet. He presented a block of metal and said, Junior brother, I've prepared something very good for you. A block of high-grade, pure, hard alloy. Luke Kwong advised, When you have time, you can come to my shop and tell me what kind of weapon you need. Having received such a precious gift, Atoi replied respectfully, Thank you, sixth senior brother. After all the gifts had been given, Trong Tung urged them, All right now. Everyone, the gifts have all been given. Let's hurry to the main hall. Don't keep master and mistress waiting. Senior brother Ho replied, Right. Scene changes to the Zhao residence. Inside the residence, Trin Hua hesitantly reported to Hong Vien. My lord. He was sweating profusely as he spoke. The bald guardian Trong has been found. But Trin Huang, recalling how he'd cut the man's stomach open, stuttered that the thing inside him was gone. The moment he finished speaking, he was slapped. Useless trash! Hong Vien roared, veins bulging with fury. He screamed, Do you have any idea how much trouble we'll be in if this gets out? You'll bring the authorities down on us. If that happens, it's your head they'll be coming for. Terrified, Trin Huang stammered, Master, it was all because of that guy Luang Ku. He must be the one who killed Lai Tojang, letting that thing escape. These words only made the master angrier. He threatened, and as for Luang Ku, according to Trio Ni, he's now a direct disciple of Duong Dong Hung. Do you want to find out for yourself just how sharp Duong Dong Hung's blade is? Hong Vien roughly grabbed his head and ordered, Listen carefully. I don't care what you have to do. Find that thing now. Terrified, Trin Huang stammered, Yes, sir. At that moment, Hong Vien's expression grew dark. He rubbed his chin, muttering, As for Luang Ku? The scene shifts to the Duong mansion. Dong Hung's voice echoes. Inside, Luang Ku is sitting with Madame Duong of the Hua family, as the master continues to ask, You know how to repay kindness. You are exceptionally brave, and you are sincere and diligent. I wish to take you as my disciple. Are you willing? Atui knelt and replied respectfully, This disciple is willing. Standing aside, senior brother Ho and Truong Tong smiled as they heard Dong Hung continue, As a member of my school, you must remain humble, be yielding, and constantly strive to improve. Respect your master, honor the way, and be filial to your family. Nearby, Luke Kwong and Trio Kam also listened to the instructions. You are not to kill your fellow disciples. You must not be rebellious or disrespectful to your parents. You must not commit evil deeds or use your strength to bully the weak. Do you understand all this? After listening, Atui replied politely, Disciple Luang Ku understands. Dong Hung declared in a deep voice, Good. After you drink this tea, you will officially be my Duong Dong Hung's 9th direct disciple. From now on, no one can bully you, and no one can insult you. Your master will always have your back. Do you understand? With his hands clasped and eyes filled with determination, he replied, Disciple Luang Ku understands. Outside the Duong mansion, under a clear blue sky with drifting white clouds, other disciples were training hard. Under the scorching sun, an order rang out, Rest for half an hour. The exhausted disciples sat down to recover, drenched in sweat. One of them spoke up, Hey, did you hear? I heard that guy. That Luang Ku became Master Duong's direct disciple. Another replied, Yeah, talk about a complete turnaround for a dirt-poor guy. The first one added, The ones who are maddest about it must be Lo Dian Tai and his gang who got kicked right out of the dojo. The other agreed. You bet. I heard there was someone else pulling the strings behind them. Just then, Hock Nguyen, walking by, overheard them. His face darkened with rage as he muttered, Damn it, that blasted Luang Ku. As night fell, senior brother Ho and A Tui sat talking. Ho asked, Junior brother Luang, do you know about the 4 gates and the 7 paths? He replied, I only know that skin, flesh, bone, and blood are the first 4 gates, but I'm not very clear on the 7 paths that come after. At this, senior brother Ho began to explain, The so-called 7 paths are galloping horse. A wolf smoke, beast tiger, python elephant, heavenly dragon, smelting furnace, and transforming rainbow. He began to elaborate, starting with an image of a man and a galloping horse. At the peak of the galloping horse realm, one can hold back 10 galloping horses without being moved. Next, a scene showed a person with a sword, radiating immense power, beside a bloodthirsty wolf. In the wolf smoke realm, your blood chi rises like wolf smoke, soaring several meters high. Like a celestial, when you unleash your power, it makes others feel as if they are being surrounded by a pack of wolves. The aura is terrifying. Next was the image of a large man, along with a majestic tiger. In the beast tiger realm, your blood chi surges like a rising tide. When you unleash your power, an ordinary person would be as terrified as a rabbit facing a ferocious tiger. Their courage would shatter. Next was an image of a burly young man with a ferocious elephant. In the python elephant realm, your every move shakes the earth. In battle, you can crumble mountains and dam rivers. You could be called the great general. Finally, there was the sight of a person before a majestic dragon. In the heavenly dragon realm, one becomes like a celestial dragon, able to escape the shackles of heaven and earth. A single leap can cover 3,000 jang, taking you straight into the clouds. That is the power of a nation's martial saint. His explanation paused here. Senior Brother Ho rubbed his chin and said, "As for smelting furnace and transforming rainbow, I don't know much. I've only heard that the experts who reach this realm have reached the point where they can ascend to a higher plane." Hearing all this, Atui thoughtfully wondered, so the martial arts in this world are this powerful. If I reach the level of ascension, maybe I could return to my own world? He then asked, I wonder what realm master has reached. Instead of answering directly, his senior brother stood up and asked, Little junior brother, do you know how many martial arts dojos there are in Bin Duong Town? Atui held up 3 fingers, guessing, 3? Hearing this, senior brother Ho turned away and said, The other 2 schools are able to operate in Bin Duong Town simply because they are just good enough to have a presence here. But Master Duong is in Bin Duong Town because this is his hometown. He then turned back, his eyes sharp, and added, Our school has been ranked #1 for many years. That's because Master Duong is the only martial artist in all of Bin Duong Town who has reached the Beast Tiger realm. Hearing this, the boy's eyes widened in shock as he thought, The Beast Tiger realm, with the system's support. I should be able to reach that realm quickly. Senior Brother Ho chuckled and said gently, That's all for today's lesson. Little junior brother, there's no need to rush when it comes to realms. You can only truly improve by taking one steady step at a time. Atua clasped his hands and replied, Thank you, senior brother. He thought to himself excitedly, This will ease the pressure from the trio family. Next, I need to quickly catch a treasure fish and break through the skin gate. And become a true martial artist. The scene changes to a clear river. Atui stood on a small boat, observing. He dumped a basket of fish he had just caught onto the boat's floor and mumbled to himself, We can't get involved to help them catch fish. The boat's hold is too full to store anymore. Maybe I should consider getting a bigger boat. Afterward, Atui stroked his chin and sighed. It's a shame I didn't find a treasure fish. I wonder when I'll be able to catch one. A moment later, he opened his system panel. Glancing at it, he said, My fusion rate has reached 37%. If I could just catch one, I might have a chance to break through the skin barrier. The information on the system panel was displayed in detail. Suddenly, a feather drifted down, catching Atui's attention. The water began to churn violently, rocking the boat. Water splashed everywhere, and he raised a hand to shield himself, asking in confusion, What's that commotion? Atui was terrified. He stammered, What is that thing? In the whirlpool, the silhouettes of 2 beasts fought frantically. Atui guessed, Is that a toad biting down on a giant bird? The silhouettes of the 2 beasts became clearer. On one side was a giant, blazing crimson flame, and on the other, a terrifyingly large river god. They were locked in a fierce battle. In the end, the river god was defeated, crashing down into the water with its immense weight. This caused the water to surge like a massive wave, about to crash down on Atui. He cried out in alarm, This is bad! He was thrown into the river as the boat capsized, spilling all the fish. Atai yelled, My fish! The waves smashed the boat to pieces. He struggled in the water, watching helplessly as his boat broke apart. Suddenly, the crimson flame let out a piercing cry. The sound wave spread through the air. The aftershock hit Atui, forcing him to raise his hands to block it. He screamed internally, Danger! This is a spiritual attack! Then, Atui sank into the deep river. A while later, he opened his eyes to find himself on the shore. Suddenly, a small crab named Kiento appeared, making him exclaim in surprise. Atui asked in confusion, I just fainted. How did you guys save me? He rubbed his forehead and muttered to himself, Was it that bird's cry that knocked me out? Looking up at the dark sky and the churning whirlpool, Atui remarked, The power of these demons is terrifying. Wouldn't the monster that could capture it be even more frightening? Afterward, Atui wearily lay down on the grass and lamented, "This was all for nothing. The boat's destroyed, the fish are gone. The plan to break through the skin barrier will have to be postponed." Suddenly, Taihoa the crocodile approached, catching his attention. Atui sat up and asked, "Taihoa, what's wrong?" Taihoa opened its mouth, revealing a large fish inside. Seeing this, Atui exclaimed internally, "This is a crimson blood perch! I can try to break through the skin barrier now!" An image of a deep red drop of blood appeared. Blood chi represents the physical strength of a martial artist. But a martial artist isn't strong because they have abundant blood chi. Rather, it's because their physical constitution is strong enough to condense sufficient blood chi. Capillaries run throughout a person's body. Blood chi is not the cause of strength, but the result of it. This result, in turn, can promote the body's dual circulation, generation after generation, without end. The scene shifts to evening, inside a simple house with a flickering yellow light. Atui placed an incense stick into a censer and sat meditating in the quiet atmosphere. The incense smoke spread a warm fragrance. In front of him was a pot of hot fish soup, its steam gently wafting before his face. Atui closed his eyes, sinking into silence. He remembered when Senior Brother Hu gave him the spirit-focusing incense, and said, "This is called spirit-focusing incense. It can easily help a martial artist break through a barrier." At that moment, Atui's body felt like it was on fire, sweat pouring down like rain. He muttered, "Break through the skin barrier." The key to advancing as a martial artist is to temper the flow of blood chi in the chest. Then, Atui picked up a piece of fish, put it in his mouth, and said, "Every time I finish tempering my blood chi, I can replenish it in time with the fish." He tensed his body, his muscles clearly defined. He told himself, "This is the 38th time, just a little more." Atui then recalled a conversation with Senior Brother Hu. He had explained, "The key to breaking through the skin barrier is to use your blood chi and internal energy to stimulate the fascia and skin all over your body, achieving the effect of skin tempering." In the present, he was still sitting, concentrating with all his might on his cultivation. A stream of red energy appeared in the center of his chest. Senior Brother Hu's words echoed in his mind. Blood chi is the flow of energy that appears in your chest when you practice your forms. It is the condensed essence of the human body. It is the root of life. The flow of energy grew stronger and stronger, forcing Atui to grit his teeth and endure as he felt a warm current originating from his chest. It merged with the blood chi in his chest, and this combined energy flowed to the bones of his 4 limbs, finally reaching the fascia and skin, transforming into a wave of heat. An image illustrating this process appeared. The person's body flared with intense heat. This was skin tempering. At that moment, his heart began to beat powerfully and rapidly. Atui's eyes shot open. He panted heavily, then said dejectedly, "That was the 40th time. But unfortunately, it's still not enough." The system displayed his cultivation stats in detail. Atui looked at it and said thoughtfully, 49%, but I'm still just short of passing the skin barrier. He speculated, "But I have a feeling that once I reach 50%, there will be a significant change." Looking down at the empty soup pot, Atui muttered, "The fish meat is all gone too. Right now, even lotus roots have very little effect on me. It seems the only option is to go catch a treasure fish." Looking out the window, he saw the morning sunlight streaming in and said in surprise, "It's already morning." Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Tui opened it to find Dai Kang and Tran Than standing there. The man spoke up. "Atui, I saw you came home yesterday. I came specifically to find you and ask about something." Atui replied cheerfully, "Uncle Lee, whatever you need, just ask." But inwardly he thought, "Aren't these the fathers of Li Lapa and Tran Kiet Shuang? Why are they here?" Dai Kang asked, "It's nothing, Major. I just wanted to ask you. My boy hasn't been home for a few days. Is he still at the martial arts hall, or has he wandered off somewhere?" Tran Than added, "That's right. My son hasn't come home either, so we came here specifically to ask." After listening, Atui scratched his head and replied, "I got back late yesterday and forgot to tell you, Uncle Lee and Uncle Tran. The 3 of us performed well, so the master took a liking to us and gave us a room at the hall to stay in. That's why I haven't gone home. I've been focusing on my training." Atui thought, picturing the bandaged Kiet Shuang and Lap Ba. "Their wounds haven't really healed yet, so I don't dare go home." Hearing this, Dai Kang laughed proudly and said, "As expected of my son, our Yiheng town has a few martial arts masters now." Tran Tan also spoke up cheerfully. "I've watched Atui and our 2 boys grow up together since they were little. I always knew these 3 kids would have a bright future. Oh, right. Atui, I came this time to remind you that our hometown is planning to hold an offering for the river god. This confused him. He thought to himself, an offering to the river god. I do remember this custom. But wasn't it held just 3 months ago? Trantan spoke up. That's right. The river god revealed himself yesterday. We must make an offering. Dai Kang agreed. He's right. The river god leaped out of the river, caught a blazewing condor, and shattered the very sky. Atui started to recall the scene in the middle of the river and the image of the river god. He gasped inwardly. They mean that toad. In the quiet of the simple house, his voice rang out. Uncle Lai, I understand. When the time comes, I'll contribute my share. The two men said, Don't forget Atui. The scene changes to a lush green stream. Sunlight shines down, making it sparkle. In the distance is a deep cave, known as the Lotus Grotto. Lotuses are in full bloom, creating a beautiful scene. Suddenly, a column of water shoots up from it. At that moment, Atui, holding a stake, jumps down. He leaps continuously, causing the space around him to ripple. After a moment, Atui twists his body powerfully. He quickly sinks to the bottom of the lake. Below, a bloom-scale croc is already waiting. It opens, its mouth full of sharp teeth, and lunges at Atui. He spots it and quickly dodges. Atui calculates in his head. The power of the water current I can control is about 300 caddies. It can be compressed and released within 10 liters of water, meaning 1 liter of water corresponds to 30 caddies of force. Instantly, he swung his weapon, executing the water blade technique and unleashing a wave of power. As Atui released the power, a 6-whiskered catfish also appeared. Its name was Afai. The energy quickly dissipated, and then Afai and the bloom-scale croc immediately shrank into a different form. My abilities underwater have now surpassed the Biguan realm. I could probably take on 4 Lu Dian case with ease. At this moment, the system panel appeared, and he read the information in detail. Atui held the wooden stake in his hand and muttered to himself about the water blade technique. If only I had a proper weapon, he thought, picturing high-grade swords and recalling what his senior brothers had said. I heard third senior brother say that in this world there are weapons called spirit weapons. They can heal themselves and be upgraded. Atui imagined a powerful sword infused with natural elements. But weapons of this level usually require heavenly treasures to forge their core. Thinking of this, he sighed and mumbled, I wonder when I'll ever get a weapon like that. Suddenly, a movement startled Atui. Seeing Afai swim ahead, he asked, What's wrong? Atui followed it to a pile of rocks and asked, It's under this rubble? Looking down, he saw a fiery red feather. He wondered, A feather? This must have fallen from that giant bird. It looks very special. Atui recalled the scene. The feather falling during yesterday's chaotic battle. He thought to himself, This must be the red feather from yesterday. The feather left Atui stunned for a moment. He wondered, Judging by its appearance, it seems very valuable. Could it be a heavenly treasure? Taking it in his hand, he mumbled, Perfect. I have to go to senior brother Luke Kwong's forge later anyway. I'll ask him about the weapon then. The scene shifts to Bin Duong County, where the air is strangely quiet. He walked quickly down the street, looking around. Atui thought to himself, Third senior brother's forge. I remember it's... His gaze shifted to the houses in the distance. He wondered, What is that? The location seems to be near Bin Duong County. I can ask senior brother about it. A short while later, Atui arrived at the Luke clan forge. Inside, the sound of a hammer striking iron rang out ceaselessly. Seeing him, Luke Kwong stopped his work and asked, Junior brother Luong, what brings you here? Atui held out a pouch and said, Senior brother Luke, I went fishing this morning and found something I couldn't make heads or tails of, so I came specifically to ask you. When he saw the feather, he exclaimed, A crimson flame feather! Staring at it intently, Luke Kwong said, This is a good find. Hearing that, he thought to himself, It really is something good. Then he asked, Senior brother Luke, you know what this is? He didn't answer right away, but asked Atui in return, Junior brother Luong, do you know where this crimson feather comes from? An image of the powerful crimson flame bird appeared along with Luke Kwong's explanation. This feather comes from a demon beast called the crimson flame bird. Whenever it faces a life-threatening danger, it will pour its entire life essence into a part of its plumage and scatter it in all directions, using this to escape. Among those feathers, there will be one that contains the most life essence, called the golden crimson flame feather. It will use this feather to complete its rebirth, just like a lizard losing its tail. But instead of just losing a tail, it sacrifices its entire body. Hearing those words, he exclaimed excitedly, It's that amazing? So is this one I have the golden feather? Atui's words made him chuckle. Of course it's not the golden feather. If it were, the two of us wouldn't even be able to get near it. Hearing that, Atui seemed a little disappointed, letting out a dejected, Oh. Looking at the feather, Luke Kwong said slowly, I advise you to forge it into a spirit weapon, rather than just absorbing its energy. Junior brother, have you decided what kind of weapon you want? Atui replied, I've thought it through. He recalled the previous battle and thought to himself, based on the last fight with the long stone mastiff, a long-handled weapon would be more suitable underwater and could be combined with his self-created skills. Ashui said with a firm voice, I want a long spear. Hearing this, sixth brother Kung was a bit surprised and asked, Long spears are quite rare in the martial arts hall. Although long weapons have an advantage in reach, they are also harder to control, he said resolutely. I've made up my mind. Please, senior brother, put this feather into the weapon. With the thought in his mind, I want a weapon with a spirit of its own. He also spoke cheerfully. All right. When it's done, I'll have someone call you to pick it up. Ashui replied respectfully. Thank you, senior brother. As he was walking out, he suddenly turned back and asked, Oh, right, sixth senior brother. What is that thick fog outside? Hearing this question, the man's face darkened. His hand tightened on the edge of the table as he growled, That place, sixth brother. Kung's eyes narrowed as he continued, That's Fahua Temple. A huge fire broke out there this morning. The image of Fahua Temple burning fiercely, with black smoke billowing, returned to his mind. Sixth brother Kung's voice rang out again, and in that fire, as something that shouldn't have appeared. Hearing this, he wondered in confusion, something that shouldn't have appeared? An image of a mountain demon disemboweling a person appeared. It looked horrifying with its sharp, jagged teeth. Ashui stammered, A mountain demon! Suddenly, someone's cold voice rang out. You said they yelled what at you? They said we are... Then, a horrific scene appeared. Large-bellied demons along with scattered human corpses. That person's voice echoed again. Elixir material, elixir begins. A moment later, only a man was seen screaming in agony. A man holding a sharp knife said coldly, It is all for the old mother. An image of a terrified young monk stammering, Patron! On the ceiling, a hideous demon with soulless eyes was looking down. Something that shouldn't have appeared has shown up at Fahua Temple. The people below looked up, saying in a broken voice, Could that be a monster with strength rivaling a warhorse? Next was the scene of a man being slowly gnawed on by the demon, only able to cry for help. Lutiangxie, save me! All of it began at Fahua Temple. The scene shifts to a beautiful sunny day at the temple. Inside the forest, the scene shook as if from the perspective of someone rushing. A foot appeared, running hastily. A girl's face came into view. She was running and panting heavily. It was Dan Hua. She was clutching her pregnant belly, running away from someone. Over here, a young monk was sweeping the courtyard when he heard a voice echo, Help me! Just as she ran over, Dan Hua was too exhausted to speak properly. Little master, save! Before she could finish, she collapsed. Seeing this, Jiming cried out, Ma'am! Dan Hua's eyes slowly closed, seeing only the blurry figure of the young monk running towards her. Ma'am! A moment later, she had been brought to a room. The young monk called out, Ma'am! Ma'am! At that moment, Dan Hua groggily opened her eyes. Ziming called out, Master, the lady is awake! The abbot slowly said, Amitabha Buddha, ma'am, you're finally awake. Dan Hua wearily sat up, holding her forehead, and asked, Abbot, where am I? This is Fahua Temple, he replied. What happened to you, ma'am? She began to recount the events. I am originally from Hua Prefecture County. 3 months ago, I went to visit someone in Pingyang County, but I never expected. Dan Hua recalled that night. Under the pouring rain, a group of menacing-looking people in robes stood before her. Dan Hua continued, to run into a group of bandits in mysterious robes. They tied her hands. Then they blindfolded her and dragged her to a mysterious place. When they arrived, they removed the blindfold for Dan Hua. The scene before her was horrifying. Corpses were strewn everywhere, and demons ran rampant. Dan Hua's voice trembled. That place. It was truly hell. The people there were all tortured until they became demons. Hearing that, the abbot asked, Did they tie you up because they wanted money? Dan Hua clutched her head, her face filled with terror, and replied, No, they said... Back then, a voice echoed, We are the refining elixir materials. As the sound of elixir begins rang out, a mark appeared on a man's stomach. It caused his stomach to swell as if it were about to explode. The man's painful screams were tragic. The people in the mysterious robes clasped their hands as if performing some bizarre ritual. A man held a knife in his hand with a cold, sharp gaze. Then he raised the knife high, preparing to stab down. As the tip of the knife descended, the victim shrieked in extreme agony. His internal organs were gouged out one by one. They collected the drops of blood that fell from them, without feeling any disgust. From those drops of blood, a brilliant red elixir crystallized. A man in the group named Sia spoke up. It's truly miraculous, Brother Lin. You said, "What exactly are these bellies?" Guiyong replied indifferently, "This is the buffalo fetus elixir, created by the Lord Emissary." He explained further, "They are forced to drink a broth made from the flesh of mountain demons. Regardless of whether they are male or female, their bellies will swell up as if pregnant with a flesh ball." He looked at the man's corpse lying there. Guiyong continued, "After 3 months, these flesh balls will form a fetus pearl. Many of these are refined into a fetus pearl elixir. It's said that eating it can grant immortality." Hearing this, Zia asked with curiosity, "It forms in 3 months. So what happens if it's over 3 months?" He replied, "If it's not taken out after 3 months, the egg will hatch." Zia grew even more curious and asked, "What hatches out?" Guiyong looked on with terrified eyes and replied, "You wouldn't want to know." The scene changes to Zhongnian Temple. The abbot's voice rings out, "Ji Ming, your senior brother, has already gone into the city to report to the authorities. You go bring some vegetarian food to the lady." The young monk immediately replied, "Yes, master," and carried the food away. Ji Ming opened the door to the room and called out softly, "Ma'am, are you in here?" Hearing no sound, the young monk slowly stepped inside and looked through the screen. He couldn't see the person inside clearly. Ziming asked, "Are you asleep, model?" Suddenly, the young monk saw something. Under Chimin's feet was a large pool of blood. "What is this?" The young monk slowly approached the bed, his face filled with confusion. A blurry figure appeared at his feet, blood pooling around it. When Chimin turned to look, he couldn't clearly see what it was, but only a little more than half of the body remained. It looked horrifying. The young monk, pale with fear, cried out, "Benefactor!" Chimin looked inside the curtain and said, trembling, "That on the bed, Dan Hoa was lifeless. Her face was smeared with blood, her eyes wide open in terror." Chimin cried out in shock, dropping all the food. Suddenly, a drop of blood fell onto Chimin's head. The young monk trembled uncontrollably as he looked up at the ceiling. It was a demon. A piece of intestine was wrapped around its neck, blood dripping down steadily. The scene changes to another location. In a forest, a few people were walking slowly. The constable spoke up. "Thank you, young hero Lu, for taking the initiative to help us investigate this time. Otherwise, I would have had to trouble the old master to find someone." The young hero replied humbly, "Constable Wang, there's no need for such formalities. This is the duty of a martial artist from the martial hall." He recalled his conversation with Trin Huang. He had said, "This time at Fahua Temple, you must help the rich man hide some bodies in the temple. At the same time, bring that thing from inside, out." The young hero asked, "What thing?" Trin Huang didn't answer, only saying, "You don't need to know. When you see it, you'll naturally understand what it is." At that moment, the monk spoke slowly. "3 officers, it's just ahead." Before them was Fahua Temple. A gloomy atmosphere enveloped the place. The monk said, "This is this humble monk's Fahua Temple." The monk slowly pushed open the gate. When they saw the scene inside, everyone's face turned pale, sweat pouring down like rain. The constable stammered, "Here, in the courtyard." The bodies of the other monks lay scattered about. He asked, "What happened here?" Suddenly, the monk cried out in shock, "Master!" Then the monk ran, his face ashen, screaming, "Master! I'm coming to save you, Master!" Seeing this, Xiaolong stopped him. "Don't run around." The constable ordered, "Xiaoluo, follow that monk. Over here, the 2 of us will observe first." Meanwhile, the young hero knelt down to examine a corpse. Looking at the dismembered bodies, he said, "Most of these corpses have bite marks on them. It looks like the work of a large tiger, but what kind of tiger could be this big? Furthermore, not a single body at the scene is intact." At this, the young hero's face darkened. He speculated silently. Could it be? Damn it, that bastard Trin Huang said. "There's some bodies." Was he talking about this? Suddenly, the constable cried out, "The bloodstains!" This caught the young hero's attention. As they observed, they saw that the blood had been dragged in a long streak. The constable said, "The bloodstain seems to lead this way. It looks like it was formed by a body being dragged." The blood trail led to a room in the distance. Seeing this, he continued, "The blood trail stops here." Xiaolu and that monk were also here. At that moment, the monk was just sitting collapsed on the ground, his mouth agape as if he had seen something. Horrifying. The others also entered and couldn't help but be shocked by the sight. The constable spoke, "Damn it! What the hell are all these things? What in the world? Happened here?" The young hero was also sweating profusely, wondering to himself, "Is this the thing Trin Huang told me to bring out? Damn it!" The scene before them was a giant egg, with countless human corpses clinging to the outside, looking incredibly bizarre. The constable exclaimed, "So all these bodies were here?" The monk's face was now pale, sweat pouring down like rain as he clasped his hands in prayer. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Suddenly, the door slammed shut. The constable jumped and turned around, crying out. He ran to the door, banging on it while shouting, "Damn it! Who's out there? Are you trying to rebel?" The young hero said, "The door isn't what's important right now. It's about to hatch." The constable asked fearfully, "Young hero Lu, what is that thing?" Looking at the grotesque, twitching egg, he explained, "This is a mountain demon egg, a signature technique of the demon mother cult." The constable asked in shock, "The demon mother cult? Those remnants from the previous dynasty?" At this moment, the egg began to move more violently. The young hero watched it and replied, "Once a mountain demon hatches and absorbs enough flesh and blood, it will enter stage 2. He added, stammering, "That is a monster with strength equivalent to the galloping horse realm." Hearing this, the constable exclaimed in fear, "Galloping horse?" Suddenly, from within the egg, an arm with sharp claws stretched out. It pierced through the shell. It propped its hand down to slowly crawl out of the eggshell. A moment later, it revealed itself with a gaunt body, gleaming eyes, and a sharp jaw. It's hatched. A stage 2 mountain demon. Seeing the mountain demon slowly crawling towards him, the monk trembled uncontrollably, continuously clasping his hands and chanting, "Namo Amitabha Buddha," without delay. It leaped forward as fast as the wind. The vicious mountain demon bit into the monk's neck with extreme bloodlust. Seeing this, Xiao Luo cried out in terror, "Little monk!" He was about to draw his sword and rush forward when the constable shouted to stop him, "Wait!" Hearing the noise, it turned around, a piece of fresh meat still half-eaten in its mouth. In an instant, the constable's face was grabbed by the mountain demon, while Xiao Luo was thrown aside. He fell to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Over here, the constable held tightly, struggled, and cried for help. "Help me! Young hero Lu, save me!" The young hero stood frozen, his face pale, thinking, "This is a monster of the galloping horse realm. I still broken through the 4 gates realm." He had no intention of saving him, already thinking to himself, "I have to retreat. With my strength, I can break down the door without a problem. But if this monster gets out..." At that moment, the mountain demon opened its wide mouth, preparing to eat the constable alive. He screamed in terror. With the situation as tense as a drawn bowstring, the young hero hesitated in his heart. "No, survival is the most important thing. I've always lived this way. It's always been..." He remembered when Dian Tai grabbed Kiet Shuang by the collar and said, "Just close your eyes. As long as you don't see it. As long as you yourself are safe." Then the young hero remembered the image of a simple old house. Lu Xiao told himself that as long as his father was still alive, his compassion would surely return. But to think that way was truly heartless. At that moment, the mountain demon was preparing a fatal bite for the constable. He cried out, "Young hero Lu, save me!" Hearing the sound, Lu Xiao began to draw his sword. The creature whipped its head around to look. Then, the mountain demon charged toward him. Lu Xiao gritted his teeth and said, "Looks like today, I'll have to test the power of a bolting horse." The scene shifts to the past. A person holds a wooden sword. He raises it high and says, "In the future, I will definitely become a great hero like Yang Dongxiang, whose might shakes the world." A little girl exclaimed with delight, "Big brother Lu, you're amazing." This was the young Lu Xiao, who said proudly, "This time I'm following father into the city. I heard I'll be working in Master Zhao's residence. This is my chance." With a determined gaze, Lu Xiao affirmed, "I must enter Master Yang's martial arts hall. Then I'll be valued by Master Zhao and become a renowned hero in the region." The little girl smiled brightly and replied, "Big brother Lu, you can definitely do it." Later, as a teenager, Lu Xiao was bullied by Huo Yuan. He said contemptuously, "Someone like you wants to join the martial arts hall. That's hilarious." Huo Yuan laughed loudly and mocked, "A useless bum. Like you, with no mother, should just cling to your sickly old father and go rot in some ditch." That evening, in their small, simple home, the sound of an old man's coughing echoed from within. Xiao Yi was treating his son's wounds and said, "You got into another fight with Zhao San, didn't you?" Lu Xiao replied, "Father, they started it." His father, his voice broken by coughing, said, "Stop talking back. When you're out, don't be so impulsive. You must respect your elders, yield to your juniors, and learn with humility." Hearing this, Lu Xiao replied dejectedly, "I know." His father, Xiao Yi, patted his head and advised, "But no matter what, you must become a man that you yourself can respect." A question echoed in Lu Xiao's mind. What would Master do? The young boy was kneeling before Dongxiang. He spoke, "Those who enter my school must have a humble heart and great ambition, but also no patience." Back in the present, facing the mountain demon, Dongxiang's voice still echoed in his mind. "Lu Xiao, do not be arrogant, look down on others, or become complacent with your own talent. He sprang forward with incredible speed. As he was about to clash with the beast, Dongxiong's teachings resounded. Be filial at home and amicable outside. You must not harm your fellow disciples. Those with an unfilial nature must absolutely not act wrongly. Lu Shao slashed forward, but the creature quickly ducked to avoid it. Those who enter my school must eliminate evil, uphold justice, and act heroically. He slashed again, but the mountain demon nimbly dodged it. With a determined gaze, Lu Shao continued his assault, Dongxiong's words still lingering. Do not act recklessly or use your strength to bully the weak. Suddenly, a candle fell onto a book, causing a flame to erupt. Lu Shao remembered his younger self again. An official was speaking loudly. We saw only Master Yang of the martial arts hall, his eyes wide with fury. His 2 feet planted firmly on the ground, a long saber at his hip. In the present, he was trying to block the mountain demon's attack with his sword. Lu Shao gracefully unleashed a series of slashes with his blade, sometimes slashing, sometimes cleaving, sometimes thrusting, sometimes spinning. Wherever he struck, it nimbly dodged. The blade flashed a deep blue, reflecting a brilliant gold. The light from the saber was like the evening sun, tearing through the dark clouds on the horizon, forcing the enemy to retreat again and again. The image of the official telling the old story flooded back. At that moment, sand and wind swirled, the sky darkened. Master Yang fought alone against the 4 great spirits, suffering grievous injuries. In the present, Lu Shao's arm had been bitten by the mountain demon. He held his sword tightly in his other hand. Then, Lu Shao leaped up and behind the mountain demon. The image of the official slamming down his wooden gavel appeared, as if signaling the end. If you want to know what happens next, please listen to the next chapter. By now, flames had engulfed the area. Lu Shao had stabbed the mountain demon in the chest, immobilizing it. He spoke, I'm sorry. I can't let this monster go. There's no way to save you now. Lu Shao gritted his teeth, holding back the pain, and continued, This is the most I can injure it. Luckily, it's not a real bolting horse. The mountain demon let out a series of wretched groans. Constable Luo, clutching his wound, reassured him, It's all right, young hero Lu. We're doing a good thing. You are a great hero. Hearing those words, Lu Shao turned and muttered, A great hero? He thought of Ah Shui's image and said humbly, There are many people in this world more like a great hero than I am. He remembered when he was a teenager, Huo Yuan had pointed at 2 children and said to Lu Shao, Go break their teeth for me. From now on, you'll roll with me. He threatened cruelly, If you don't, the one who gets his teeth broken will be you. Hearing this, the boy approached the 2 children, frightening them. Lu Shao's face darkened, and he said, Even so, deep down, the boy felt extremely guilty. I'm so sorry. The boy's hand clenched into a fist as he told himself, I have to do this. I have to make a name for myself. I have to become someone who stands above all others. Back at Fahua Temple, the sunny day was still clear, but now the temple was no longer intact. It had burned to the ground, casting a gloomy shadow. A soldier shouted, Found them! They're over here! When everyone went inside, they saw a charred body sitting there. They wondered, what happened to them? It was the image of Lu Shao finishing off the mountain demon. Now everything was just ash. Who is that man with the saber? Just then, a token fell out. Someone came and picked it up. On the token was the engraved character, Lu, which was Lu Shao's surname. At that moment, a memory from the past flooded back. A bandaged hand held out a steamed bun. For you, the 2 children asked in surprise. Big brother, why are you helping us? Lu Shao's face was bruised and battered, and he even had a broken tooth. The boy replied cheerfully, I'm a great hero. How could I bully the weak? The scene shifts to that evening at the Zhao residence. A shout rang out. You useless piece of trash! You're such an idiot! Inside, Hong Yuan was continuously kicking Zheng Xiang while yelling. Such a stupid servant letting you act on your own, he continued to rage. Once the matter of Fahua Temple is exposed, do you have any idea how much trouble it will cause for the Grand Master? Zheng Xiang knelt there, terrified. Master, about the Fahua Temple incident. We were forced into it, but he was sweating bullets, stammering about what happened that day. After we discovered that woman had escaped, we immediately gave chase. But who would have thought that bitch would run into a temple? Recalling the scene from that day. When the mysteriously dressed people before them were nothing but corpses, Trin Huang said, By the time we caught up, the place was already a river of blood. He recounted, During my talk with the young master, I had no choice but to have young Master Lu go to the Yamen to help us hold back the newly hatched mountain demon. That's when you and the constables entered, Trin Huang continued. Once he entered the scripture pavilion, the black-robed figures outside shut the doors. He recounted sinisterly, We immediately snuck up and locked the doors tight. Outside, Fahwal Temple was engulfed in a raging fire. They stood by and watched indifferently. Trin Huang added, "Then we set it ablaze, intending to destroy the bodies and silence any witnesses." As soon as he finished, Hong Vian grabbed him by the ear and scolded, "You idiot! What good is setting a fire? It would take 3 days and 3 nights to burn everything to ash. Did you have that kind of time?" From the side, a hidden figure spoke up. "That's enough." He slowly stood up and said in a low voice, "You bunch of fools are all responsible for this." The man walked forward, reprimanding, "Because you couldn't keep an eye on her. That woman has caused the sect a great loss." He approached one of the men, raising a hand with sharp claws, and said slowly, "To the Supreme Old Mother, you are nothing but disrespectful." Then he extended his hand and said coldly, "Disrespect will be punished." He squeezed the man's head hard with his claws. The man could only tremble violently. A moment later, blood splattered onto his face. This man's name was Trak Quan, a high emissary. His cold voice rang out, "And this is the will of the Supreme Old Mother." The other man collapsed in front of Trin Huang and Hong Vian. This terrified them to their core. Wiping his bloody hand, Trak Quan said in a low voice, "Master Trio, you have made great contributions to our sect. The Supreme Old Mother will protect you." He glanced at Hong Vian and warned in a harsh tone, "But don't you forget, Master Trio, we are all in the same boat." These words made the old man panic and stammer. "High Emissary, rest assured I will see this matter to its end." Trak Quan's face darkened, his eyes turning ice-cold as he said, "As for you, Butler Trin, do you really no longer care about that son you've hidden away?" Hearing this, Trin Huang bowed his head to the ground and pledged, "High Emissary, rest assured this will absolutely never happen again." Trak Quan turned and walked out, not forgetting to say, "My apologies for disturbing Great Master Trio and Butler Trin." The two of them watched his back as he disappeared. Only then did Hong Vian let out a heavy breath. Looking at the corpse on the floor, Trin Huang said, "Master, that man is openly threatening us." The old man ground his teeth in anger and said, "What other choice do I have? If it weren't for my family's fortune, I would never have invited that old monster here." Hong Vian then recalled the earlier massacre. He praised Trin Huang. "Luckily, you were smart enough to go with the flow, allowing the mountain demon in that woman's belly to mature properly. You even slaughtered the entire temple to feed it. Otherwise, an opportunity like this would have been hard to come by." He added, "Today, while the plan is proceeding smoothly, we must find a way to escape. The Imperial Court has already made its move." Hong Vian leisurely stroked his beard as he laid out his plan. "Once the Fahwal Temple affair is over, we'll escape to Huangzhou. I have businesses there too. We can still live like kings." With a wicked look on his face, he continued, "Trio Ni's Taizhou pills can also continue to be refined there. We'll have Duong Dong Hung to handle any trouble outside." The night grew late. Hong Vian's voice continued to echo, "If we don't want to be dealt with by the Dashun dynasty, the safest way is to minimize our losses." The next morning, at the entrance to Niehuang village. At that moment, a Tui walked along, thinking sadly, "I can't believe young Master Lu ended up in a situation like that," according to Lap Ba's words from that day. "He even stood up and tried to uphold justice. He's really not a bad person." He remembered when the young master was instructing everyone during practice. "Stop," a Tui wondered to himself. "But why did he show up at Fahwal Temple?" According to 6th Senior Brother, the martial arts school didn't receive any help from the Yamen at first. He closed his eyes in frustration. He thought, "Mountain demons. This world is truly hard to survive in. I hope all these monsters die out there." Suddenly a voice called out, startling a Tui. "Isn't that a Tui?" Kun Jang, carrying the load on his shoulder, asked, "A Tui, you're back." "Uncle Tron?" He asked, "What happened?" The man urged him, "You should hurry home and see for yourself." There was a large crowd gathered at the door. High up on a cliff, a large centipede was crawling slowly towards a bed. Someone was watching them from above. Suddenly, a grotesque hand snatched the centipede and cried out, "Fan Tien!" It was a mountain demon. As it chewed on the centipede, it uttered a few words. "Luong Ku." The scene shifts to a dark and dilapidated place. A voice spoke up. "People often say that the pasts of great men are always filled with suffering and hardship. The greater the suffering, the greater the man." A scream cut in. "Tragic!" Looking at the piles of wood stacked in a corner, a voice exclaimed, "So tragic!" Thanton stood with his hands on his hips, his face dark as he yelled, "Damn it! This is just too tragic, too miserable!" A young man named Din Nghia was sweating profusely, stammering, "Father, that's enough. I've been kneeling for a whole hour." He was tied down on a bench, crying out helplessly, "That little fisherman punk! Do we really have to go this far for him?" The moment he finished speaking, Din Nghia got a whack on the butt with a stick. Than Ton angrily scolded, "You unfilial son! Your father has been clever since he was a child, so how did I end up with an idiot like you?" He wailed and begged, "Stop hitting me, father! I don't want to be beaten to death!" Hearing this, the old man hit him even harder. "I'll beat you to death!" Inside, someone was watching this scene. That's Lady Luo and Guangdian. She says, "That brat. I thought he'd amount to something by joining the martial arts hall, but look what happened. I told you he'd cause trouble, see? Now he's shown up right at our door." He asks, "When did you not say this?" Lady Luo asks in confusion. "We never even lent him any grain before, so why would he come looking for you?" Hearing this, Guangdian angrily shouts, "You foolish woman, you don't understand anything. If we had lent him grain, could we even get it back? You could tell just by looking at his father's short-lived fate. My lord, don't be angry anymore." Then he looks outside and says in a low voice, "Quiet, that brat is back." Outside, Chung Quan's scolding voice rings out, "You insolent son, I'll whip you to death." Just then, a shui arrives home. Seeing the scene before him, he asks, "Ding Yi, what are you all doing gathered in front of my house?" Seeing a shui return, Chung Quan stops his hand and Ding Yi cries out, "You stinking fisherman! Such a handsome demeanor!" He runs towards him and exclaims joyfully, "This must be the worthy nephew, Liang Zhu, right?" Chung Quan puts on a fawning expression and praises him. "Truly you are extraordinarily handsome, as calm and graceful as the wind beneath a tall pine. No wonder you could become Master Yang's direct disciple." Seeing this, the crowd starts murmuring. "Master Yang? Is that the Master Yang from the Yang family martial arts hall? The renowned hero, Yang Dongxing?" Someone speaks up. "A direct disciple means he's formally kowtowed and become his student. Half a son, half a father. What's more, a shui was accepted into the Yang family martial arts hall. That old Master Yang, even the county magistrate has to— I'll read him respectfully!" Everyone who heard this was dumbfounded. Another person rubs their chin and asks, "Even the county magistrate has to greet him?" The crowd surrounds him, showering him with praise. "A shui is so amazing! I always knew this kid, a shui, was no ordinary person. How old is a shui this year? Isn't it about time to discuss marriage? Look at that fair face, he's so handsome." At this moment, Chung Quan holds out the whip and says, "I never imagined my own rebellious son could do something so dirty and shameful. Today, worthy nephew Liang, even if you beat him to death right in front of me, I'll let him take it." Hearing this, a shui's expression turns dangerous, his eyes flashing with a terrifying red glint. He takes the whip and asks, "Oh, so I can beat him however I want?" Ding Yi lies there, drenched in sweat, listening to a shui's every word. I'm not one to hold a grudge, but if a person lives their life without being able to release the anger in their heart, I'm afraid they won't live a very long life. He strokes the whip while leaning close to his face and says in a cold voice, "Everyone wants to live to be 100, don't they? Tell me." Hearing those words, Ding Yi, weeping and trembling, begs, "Brother Liang, I'm begging you, I was truly wrong, I was truly wrong. From now on, I'll be your horse and ox. Just spare me this once, please, spare me this once. I'll never dare to do it again." A shui lowers the whip and says in a low voice, "All right, that's enough. Let's just drop the matter." He turns away and adds, "The suffering you've endured is enough. Besides, you weren't the mastermind." He was scared out of his wits, silently thanking Brother Liang in his heart. Suddenly, Chung Quan calls out, "Wait!" Hearing this, Ding Yi panics, screaming in his heart, "Father, am I not your biological son? Are you really determined to have me beaten today?" He says slowly, "Worthy nephew Liang is magnanimous, but I cannot be shameless." Immediately, Chung Quan opens a box of silver, making everyone's eyes widen. Seeing this, Ding Yi exclaims, 100 taels of silver! Oh my god! So your son finally gets to see what 100 taels of silver looks like. At this moment, Guangdian opens the door and steps out. He says loudly, "Everyone, make way! This is my most beloved nephew." Guangdian puts on a fake expression and says, "Sir, I am Liang Zhu's biological uncle, his only blood relative. You can discuss the compensation with me." The crowd, finding this unbearable, starts to curse. "Liang Guangdian, have you no shame? When a shui was about to starve to death, we didn't see you opening your door to help him." "That's right. Now that there's silver involved, suddenly you're his biological uncle? And you even say most beloved. I spit on you!" He retorts angrily, "Get lost. What do you people know about how good his uncle is to him? Don't you think he knows that? Without me, would he be where he is today?" Seeing this, Chung Quan turns to a shui and asks, "Worthy nephew Liang, this man is—" He quickly replies, "I don't know him." A shui recalls the scenes of abuse he suffered. In the original owner's memories, this uncle was hardly a beloved relative. He's nothing more than a bloodsucker. Before the original owner of this body starved to death, that guy never offered him a single grain of food. Then, Atai turned to him and said, "If you really want to do something, Then the River God Festival in my hometown is in a few days. Besides the contributions from the major families, every able-bodied young man has to pay 100 copper coins. He turned and walked away. His voice was generous. If Master Tiet is feeling charitable, why not help cover this cost? That way the villagers can save a little money for the new year. While you're at it, you could also set up some porridge stalls for the poor. The number of beggars in the village has been increasing these past few days. Hearing this, Thanton clasped his hands and said, "Virtuous and righteous!" The crowd cheered happily. "Thank you, Atui. Atui is so righteous." A woman also spoke up. "Good boy. This auntie is counting on you." Atui went into his house and slammed the door shut. He let out a breath. Well, that's over with. While stretching his body, Atui thought, "The last time I practiced skin toughening at the martial arts hall, I felt like my skin had already reached its limit. It didn't feel tight like when I first started. Instead, it felt swollen." He rubbed his neck and mumbled, "If I'm not mistaken, I should be able to break through the skin barrier today." Later, Atui prepared water for a bath. He touched the water to check the temperature, analyzing in his head, "This final breakthrough will generate far more heat than before. The slightest mistake could fry my brain. Therefore, I must use physical means to cool down." Atui got into the tub, immersing himself in the warm water. Wisps of steam slowly rose as his body began to heat up. Now to begin the breakthrough. Time passed. He sat silently, submerged in the tub, as wisps of steam swirled around him, a testament to his concentration. He began to frown, beads of sweat forming on his skin. Suddenly, streams of light swirled around Atui's body. He opened his eyes, saw the light, and exclaimed, "I've finally broken through the skin barrier." Atui gathered a stream of water in his hand, thinking to himself, "A rough estimate. My current water control is around 500 caddies, a huge increase from before." As he got dressed, he mumbled, "But my integration with the system doesn't seem to have progressed at all." The system panel appeared, showing Atui's cultivation information. After reading it, he said with satisfaction, "I didn't expect breaking the skin barrier to have such a huge effect. If I break through all 4 barriers, wouldn't I be able to control several tons of water?" Atui rubbed his chin and mumbled, "My 2 abilities actually complement each other. Half the effort for twice the result. There's nothing better than this." Then he reached for the door, saying casually, "Time to go out for a little walk." As he opened it, he saw Kwang Dian standing right outside. The door slammed right into his face. Kwang Dian fell backward with a yelp. He scrambled up, rubbing his reddened nose, and said with a fake smile, "Well, if it isn't my dear good nephew." He looked down and asked in a cold voice, "Luong Kwang Dian, what do you want?" Kwang Dian held out a sack of rice, unable to hide the sinister look on his face, and said, "Your uncle was worried you'd be too hungry to sleep, so I hurried and scraped the bottom of my rice jar to bring this to you." Hearing that, Atui turned to go back inside and said coldly, "Take it back and eat it yourself. I'm not short on food right now." But in his heart he thought, in this world rice is an incredibly precious commodity. Just as Atui was about to close the door, Kwang Dian blocked it and cried out, "Wait!" Atui didn't say a word and yanked the door open, slamming it into the man's face again. Kwang Dian fell into the yard and the sack of rice spilled everywhere. He angrily touched his bleeding nose and screamed, "What are you doing? I'm your blood uncle! I'm your only uncle. This house of yours should be mine." People were watching as Kwang Dian sat on the ground, his scolding voice ringing out, "Master Tiet offered you so much money, and you didn't take it. Are you an idiot?" He was indignant, as if the money should have been his, and continued to curse, "Shouldn't you have brought that money home to raise your little cousin, Tiu Sao? An elder like me is practically half a father to you." At that moment, Atui shot Kwang Dian a sharp, cold look and threatened, "Luong Kwang Dian, if you want to die, just try me." Those words made the man stutter in fear. "You!" He wondered to himself, it's only been a short while. How has he changed so much? Was he always this tall? Then Kwang Dian resorted to his usual trick of playing the victim. "Everyone come and look at this! Look at this ungrateful bastard! Just because he became a martial artist, he stopped acting like a human being. He won't even acknowledge his poor relatives anymore! I'm your blood uncle and Tu Sao is your cousin." Suddenly, someone spat right in Kwang Dian's face, shutting him up. A large woman growled, "Uncle, when Luong Chin's father passed away, did you even help carry the coffin? When Atui was starving with nothing to eat, did you ever lend him any food?" Someone else chimed in. "And another thing, that year when the family assets were divided, if you hadn't been such a scoundrel, Lung Ku's father probably wouldn't have been left with just a single boat. He had to raise a toy all by himself, struggling day by day." Hearing this, he roared in anger. "Where did this woman come from, sticking her nose in other people's business? Watch it, or I'll smack you right in that mouth of yours!" Suddenly, a wooden staff came from nowhere and slammed right into Kwang Dian's stomach, along with a voice, "I'll smack you first!" It was the village chief, Tron Trio An. He spoke up indignantly. Now that Atui is successful, you come running to claim a share of the benefits? Are you even human? You're worse than an animal, Kwangdian cried out in alarm. Village Chief Trio An hit him a few more times with his staff and then chased him off. Get out of here! Don't let us see your face again! Kwangdian could only turn tail and run, replying, Yes, sir! Trio An watched Kwangdian's retreating back until he was out of sight. In Niahung town, there was more than one village chief, but this one was also the patriarch of the Tran clan. His position was quite special, and his reputation was very high. Ordinary people wouldn't dare to cross him. Even old Master Trio had to show him some respect. Only then did Atui bow and ask, Thank you for your help, Elder Village Chief. May I ask why you were looking for me? He replied cheerfully, I came looking for you this time, hoping you could take on the role of chief officiant for this year's river worship ceremony. Hearing this, the boy was surprised and thought to himself, The chief officiant is the one who leads the river worship. It's similar to a high priest. This might just be a good opportunity. Atui looked at his system panel, which showed the river's spring firmament level, and thought, Maybe on the day of the ceremony I'll find out what that does. Without making Trio An wait long, he replied, No problem, Elder Village Chief. The chief said, Good. During this time, young Lunku, you must memorize this ceremonial text. The next day, early in the morning at Atui's small house, under a clear blue sky, the sound of his reading could be heard. The sun shines high above, flowers bloom and smile at me. 2 birds on a branch chirp and sing. The little birds sing good morning. Atui yawned widely as he stepped out to open the door. Why are you wearing that small bag on your back? He thought to himself, rubbing his eyes as he looked up at the sky. Because the writing system in this world is still mostly unfamiliar to me. I have to follow my master's instructions and memorize the ceremonial text, so what choice do I have? Atui clenched his fist and exclaimed, Reborn as a student in ancient times, in the early morning classroom looking out at the green shade of the trees and the clear stream is so relaxing. Tungsing was staring intently at a book, reading aloud. Throughout life, never be lazy. Leisure and wealth look down upon the lowly who are truly incompetent. Atui looked at the old man and muttered to himself, How annoying. He only told me to go to school, he thought while sitting in class. But he didn't have to send me to elementary school, did he? A classmate suddenly spoke up. Sir, Lunku isn't opening his mouth. The old man stopped, his hand gripping the thick book as if channeling all his anger into it. Tungsing shouted, Lunku, don't be so disrespectful to others! He slammed his cane hard on the large book. This great academy accepting a brute like you is already giving your master a great deal of face. Tungsin looked at Atui and continued, You, an illiterate who knows nothing, should be secretly rejoicing that you've met a good man like me. Suddenly, the boy stood up and began reciting loudly, stunning the teacher and his classmates, who stared wide-eyed. In reading, grasp the highest meaning. In office, serve the people. Be humble and polite, be cautious in all matters. Throughout life, never be lazy. Leisure and wealth. Atui continued to recite, causing the snitching classmate to turn and stare intently. Look down upon the lowly, who are truly incompetent. The teachings have been given, all necessities are prepared. He continued his recitation, ignoring everyone around him. The 100 insects, grasses and trees, armor and weapons, birds, beasts, tigers and rhinoceroses, miscellaneous and strange objects. Atui turned to Tungsin and said respectfully, Sir, I have actually already memorized all of this. He thought to himself, As a top student in my past life, this stuff is actually very easy. Atui said in a low voice, It's just that I find the method of teaching characters in this academy a bit troublesome. Tungsin was furious. Holding his cane in one hand and the book in the other, he pointed straight at him and yelled, You insolent brat! These methods have been passed down by our ancestors through generations. What do you know? What? The old man looked at him and shouted, It's not that I look down on you, but what can a brute like you possibly accomplish? Atui spoke up and continued, The Fanki method used in the academy is indeed a good way, but it's too complex and requires a solid foundation. Atui lowered his voice. But the method I've developed turns characters into symbols. Each symbol corresponds to a sound. He continued eloquently, I call this method the syllable spelling method. Suddenly, a voice rang out, startling both Tungsin and Atui. The form is similar to the character slicing method, but it seems simpler. Hangangia appeared and spoke up. Regarding this syllable spelling method you speak of, please explain it in more detail. Some students exclaimed in surprise, It's Teacher 2! He's a teacher from the Dashun capital city. Tungsin hurriedly went before him and bowed respectfully. Teacher 2. Under the cool shade of a green tree, some people were strolling leisurely. As a white bird spread its wings and flew high, Hang Nia raised a hand to stroke his beard and said smugly, Tungsin spoke up in annoyance, How interesting! His mouth is full of utter nonsense. The ancestors warned us not to speak of strange forces and chaotic spirits. It's not worthy of my attention. But he looked at Atui and said in a low voice, "In Dashan, those who invent things are rewarded. As long as you invent something useful, you will be rewarded with money, tax exemptions, and even a title is possible." He thought to himself, "This is it. I have to stand out on my own. Otherwise, other people will soon discover how special I am." Hang Gia spoke. "Lungku, you are exceptionally intelligent. Why not come and study under me?" Tong Sin hurriedly tried to intervene. "Mr. Sai, you're really going to rely on this kid? How could you—" But he raised his hand, stopping him. Hang and Gia turned back to look at the old man as he began to speak. "I thought, Mr. Tuong, that in reading and martial arts, there is no distinction between high and low, noble and common. That is what my master taught me." Mr. Tuong hesitated. "But this kind of treacherous and immoral person—" Hang Gia laughed loudly, reassuring him. "Mr. Tuong, don't worry. This matter won't involve you." The old man fell silent, but he was still uneasy. He looked at Atui and said in a low voice, "What the student cannot solve, I, the master, will solve." Hang Gia started to leave, but turned back to add, "What the student cannot break, I, the master, will break." Atui bowed deeply with clasped hands to show his respect for him. Deep beneath the dark blue water, a large bell emitted strange streams of light amidst tiny bubbles. The Tai Huangak was using its large head to push the round ball forward. The ball was pushed upward by Quan Dao's pincers. Afi appeared, letting out a squeak. "Squeak," it chirped, as if trying to say something. Alongside Quan Dao, it was struggling to push the green ball forward with its little friends. Afi chirped, "Hey, little guy, use more strength." Quan Dao was straining, putting all its strength into pushing the ball forward as fast as it could. Afi was also focusing all its power into its head to deliver a powerful blow. The ball suddenly exploded, creating a blinding flash of light that astonished all the little friends. After it burst, a brilliantly lit pathway appeared. It appeared right between the underwater cliffs. Amidst the dark cliffs at the bottom of the water, a gate emitting a turquoise light was slowly opening, revealing a giant, moss-covered bronze bell. It stood majestically in the deep water after the light faded. Evening. At the bottom of the river. Atui was gliding gently through the deep blue water with the Tai Huangak. It had its mouth wide open, beaming a radiant smile in the current. He looked at the Tai Huangak and said softly, All right. I know the credit for this one goes to you, Untouchable." Atui and the creature headed over to where Quan Dao and Afi were waiting. He spoke up. "So this is the passage you dug up?" The Tai Huangak was lying on its back with its full belly exposed, pointing forward. Meanwhile, Afi stood behind it with a worried look. Atui turned to it and said, "I know, Untouchable. Amazing," he thought to himself. "I can't believe the space inside is this big." Atui thought, "So this light is coming from the dang man vine. It looks like there's more space up above." Atui reached out and grabbed something. He thought, "It feels a little soft." Atui yelled and brought the vine to his mouth to bite it. He lowered it, thinking, "I can't even make a dent in it." Atui swam forward and shouted a command. "Untouchable, Quan Dao, let's go up." Atui looked upward and said, "Inside here, there's no water? It's air?" He looked around, wondering, "Do all the dang man vines grow from here?" As Atui stared intently ahead, a black creature appeared behind him, crawling on a rock that jutted out from the water. It suddenly grew at an alarming rate and lunged straight for Atui. As it came at him with its sharp legs, he threw a powerful punch, shattering the rock beneath his feet to push the water monster back. Atui looked at it and shouted, "Too slow! I spotted you ages ago!" After observing the creature, he confirmed it was a water centipede. Its long, spiky tail whipped out, shattering a large slab of rock on the riverbed. Suddenly, the water monster charged toward Atui and Quan Dao. Quan Dao used its sturdy pincers to block the creature's charge. Amidst a blue glow, he stood watching the two creatures fight and began to speak. "Looks like Quan Dao has grown quite a bit." The water monster, with its many sharp legs, contorted its body to crawl over the sharp rocks and attack. It was immediately clamped tight by Quan Dao's powerful pincers. Atui stood to the side, shouting triumphantly, "Quan Dao, excellent work!" He continued, "This is a type of water centipede. I've heard their bite is incredibly powerful." Atui went on. "More importantly, this creature possesses a weapon that even martial artists fear. Poison." He said softly, "If I can tame it, it'll be like gaining another hidden weapon. I still have enough spiritual connection slots available." Atui picked up a small piece of rock. He crushed the small rock into fragments with his bare hands and said, "After my breakthrough, my physical constitution has gotten much stronger." He held up his bleeding finger and said, Looks like I'll have to ask my 6th senior brother about buying a weapon soon. This will have to do for now. Atui pointed 2 fingers at the creature clamped by Kwando. He shouted, "Taming Blood Talisman!" Atui's light touch unleashed a blazing surge of power to subdue it. He gritted his teeth, whispering as he saw the system continuously flash danger warnings. What is this? This one water centipede is equivalent to a crocodile? The system panel appeared. Water beast, heavenly water centipede, has been tamed, evolvable. Atui sat down, sighing in relief. Glad I was able to hold on. He looked at it and said, "You're this strong physically. I'll call you A-Way." A system notification appeared. Heavenly Water Centipede, a water centipede nourished by water lingji and supplemented with the flesh and blood of martial artists, causing a mutation. Can consume 10,000 points of water essence. Now evolve the Heavenly Water Centipede into a great ambassador Heavenly Water Centipede. Atui was shocked, thinking to himself, 10,000 points? The cost for each creature I tame just keeps getting higher. He looked at Away and whispered, "All right, where did you find that water lingji to eat?" As if it understood, the creature quickly crawled ahead to lead the way. Away crawled slowly into the deep, dark stone cave. Amidst strange mists, Atui peered inside, his voice filled with surprise. "In here? This is truly terrifying." He gasped in shock upon seeing a skeleton deep inside the cave. These were the words that suddenly appeared below it. "The vanguard of the great Qian Navy has fallen. Unable to resist, I drifted here, gravely injured. Feeling ashamed of the Emperor's grace, I ended my life here. After some time, lush green vines clung tightly to the gray cliff face. In the quiet space, Atui and his 3 beasts still stood, staring intently at the skeleton. He knelt before it, looking at the words and murmuring, "Great Gon's water vanguard. Ended his life here." Atui snapped angrily, "I can't read the other words." He continued, "This doesn't look like he just drifted here. Could there be an ancient battlefield around here? Is it possible there are any spirit weapons left behind nearby?" Atui looked at the box by the skeleton and said softly, "This box must contain the water spirit core, right?" He continued, "Pardon the intrusion." Atui looked inside the box and said, "The other plant must be the one Aoi ate." He held the water spirit core in his hand, turned back and said quietly, "Senior, I'll take you outside in a moment. I'll bury you in fertile soil so you can rest in peace." Atui held it in his hand and continued, "Next is the moment to level up. This time I must break through level 50. He sat surrounded by his pets and said loudly, "Immovable gets 1/3, a Fi gets 1/6, and Fist gets 1/20th. We forget it. You already ate a whole plant." Atui held out his hand and said, "Then the rest is all mine." With that, Atoi popped it into his mouth and chewed with relish. Suddenly he felt a floating sensation and thought to himself, "So smooth, so soft."
It's like tofu, so refreshing.
The system panel announced, "Water Marsh Essence plus 216. Atui thought to himself, "That's even higher than Crab Row. Since I've leveled up, doesn't that mean I—" He pointed a finger at the system panel and it immediately appeared. Peak Master Liang Ku, Refined Water Spirit White Ape, Fusion Rate 70.6%, Water Marsh Essence 0, Tamed Water Beast, Tai Hoa Crocodile. Spend 280 points of Water Marsh Essence to evolve into a Horned Wood Crocodile. Tamed Water Beast, a Fi. Spend 240 points of Water Marsh Essence to evolve into a Tiger-Headed Catfish. Tamed Water Beast, Stone Crab. Spend 7,600 points of Water Marsh Essence to evolve into a Stone King Crab. The system display showed, Water Spirit Ape Fusion is over halfway. Innate Talent Skill unlocked. It continued to display, Raging Water Leap. Atui was emitting a dazzling blue light, with the silhouette of a fierce beast appearing behind him. With glowing eyes, he strained to control the immense power surging within him. A source of energy was radiating a brilliant light right in the center of Atui's chest. That energy source grew larger and larger in his chest, branching out and spreading deep into Atui's body. He bowed respectfully before the dry human skeleton lying by the dark cliff wall. Atui looked at the pool of water before him and said softly, "Time to go back underwater and test my new ability." He shouted, "Water Ripple Step." He was using the power of the turquoise water surrounding his body. Atui lost control and slammed into the hard rock wall. After the powerful impact, he looked up, blood dripping from his nose, and said, "Looks like this is a movement skill. It just consumes a lot of stamina, and it's hard to control the direction." Atui thought to himself as he looked at the system panel. "And travel 1,000 miles underwater. If that's real, it's insanely overpowered. Water Ripple Step, protected by the river, can evolve into the divine ability Travel 1,000 miles underwater." He raised his hand, controlling the blue energy, and continued speaking. My control over water currents has tripled this time, reaching 800 jin. That's a huge leap. Atui continued, and Immovable and the others all got 200 to 500 growth points. The system displayed each beast. Tamed Water Beast, Tai-Hoa Crocodile. Spend 230 points of Water Marsh Essence to evolve into a Horned Wood Crocodile. Tamed Water Beast, a Phi. Spend 210 points of Water Marsh Essence to evolve into a Tiger-Headed Catfish. Tamed Water Beast, Stone Crab. Spend 7,600 points of Water Marsh Essence to evolve into a Stone King Crab. Afai broke into a sweat as he heard Atui's questioning tone. Wait a minute. Afai, since when did you surpass Immovable? This isn't right. Forget it. It probably had its own special encounter. Who knows, maybe it has some kind of catfish system or something. He thought to himself and then laughed out loud. Atui looked up at the system panel and said, The river offering ceremony is in 1 week. During this time, I have to study hard with Master. Because I have a feeling this is related to the river offering ceremony. The system displayed, Raging Water Leap, protected by the river, can evolve into the divine ability, travel 1,000 miles underwater. 1 week later. Late autumn, early winter. The ancient village lay peacefully amidst high mountain ranges and lush green forests under the golden sun. Uncle Ba stood outside, knocking on the door and calling out, Atui! We should get going to the river offering ceremony. He held his hand forward and commanded, Atui, up you go! As if it understood, it quickly crawled onto Atui's hand. Before long, Atui had wrapped around his wrist like a bracelet. Atui reached out, unlatched the door, and looked at him cheerfully, saying, Let's go. Off to the river offering ceremony. A large crowd of villagers was gathering in front of a tall wooden platform amidst the resounding beat of drums. Man stood silently, staring intently ahead as if she had seen something. Suddenly the little girl stood terrified, sobbing uncontrollably. Nguyet Mai quickly spoke to comfort her. What's wrong, sweetie? Why are you crying? Man pointed forward, crying as she said, There's a monster in the alley. Her mother didn't believe her and quickly said, You're talking nonsense again. Where would a monster come from in the village? Nevertheless, Nguyet Mai still tried to soothe the little girl. All right, don't cry anymore. Mommy will buy you some tanghulu to eat. A strange man with white hair was secretly peeking through a crack in the wall amidst eerie black mists. He had glowing red eyes and sharp fangs, hiding behind a stone corner. He uttered, Chung Xianliang the Ninth. Strong men were using all their might to beat large mallets on the big drum. A loud shout was heard. Present the offerings! Young men were carrying trays with ox heads and pig heads, moving forward. The masked shaman was chanting an invocation to call the water spirits back. Shaman, to your place! He was holding a bundle of dry firewood high, shouting, The chief priest will now perform the rites! To begin the solemn ceremony. Atui was slowly walking up the wooden steps leading to the ceremonial platform. He stood on the high platform, looking down at the crowd below amidst the thick incense smoke. The shaman raised his hand, signaling for the ceremony to begin amid resounding cheers. Atui raised a white scroll with both hands, preparing to read the proclamation. O great river god above, in this land of Yixing, bordering the Huai River, I have been entrusted with the people's faith. Today, leading the villagers in worship before you, I shall now read this eulogy. Down below, Lap Ba and Kiet Suong, along with all the villagers, watched Atui intently. Lap Ba looked at him and exclaimed, Amazing, Atui! He thought to himself, I don't know what's happened to you, but the two of us grew up together. Kiet Shuang whispered, Are you really Atui? A grotesque shadow darted across the rooftops, looking for a way to attack the ceremony. The hideous monster stared intently at the high platform where the young man was officiating. Atui noticed it immediately. He thought to himself, That's the mountain demon that sixth brother told me about. Atui recalled the illustrated miscellaneous notes of Hoa Mok Hall that sixth brother had shown him. There was a drawing of the mountain demon, skin cracked like dry bark. No, that's right. He continued to think, humanoid shape, skin like dry bark, impervious to blades and spears. The small ones eat livestock, the large ones prefer human organs. It was silently targeting Man in the crowd of villagers. The little girl saw it and screamed in terror, It's that monster! Her mother, Nguyet Mai, and the villagers looked up in horror at the echoing growl. What is that thing? The tiled roof suddenly shattered and flew apart from a powerful impact. The mountain demon, with blazing red eyes and bared fangs, lunged toward the ground. A terrified scream rang out. Monster, run! Kietsuang looked at everyone and shouted, Scatter! The villagers fled for their lives. Man, separated from her mother, cried out, Mommy, where are you? Nguyet Mai anxiously searched for her child, her calls echoing, Honey, where are you? The little girl's eyes widened in fear. The mountain demon was charging right behind her. It raised its sharp-clawed hand, preparing to snatch poor Man-Man. Kitsung shouted anxiously, "Damn it, I'm not going to make it!" Lap Ba cried out in horror at the sight. "This is bad!" Nguyet Mai rushed toward her daughter, yelling, "Honey!" As fast as lightning, Kiet Shuang dove in, grabbing Man-Man to shield her from the vicious attack. He hugged the little girl tightly but lost his footing, sliding across the ground. The mountain demon growled and charged to attack him. Lap Ba yelled, "Tran Kiet Shuang, hold on!" As he spoke, he threw his weapon forward. "I haven't been idle all this time. Taste my throwing knives." His sharp daggers flew down from above right behind it. Lap Ba thought to himself, "Damn it, it dodged. Damn it, I'm not going to make it!" The mountain demon opened its maw full of sharp teeth and let out a roar that shook the very air. Kiet Shuang's eyes widened in terror as he looked at it. He screamed desperately, "A toy! If you have any tricks up your sleeve, now's the time to use them." Just as the mountain demon's sharp-clawed hand was about to touch Kiet Shuang, a blue light suddenly appeared, blocking it just in time. A tui had appeared out of nowhere. Leaping high into the air, he used the power of water to suppress the evil monster. He shouted, "Raging water burst!" A tui brought a powerful blow down on the mountain demon's head. He breathed a sigh of relief, having made it just in time to save both Man-Man and Kiet Shuang at the most critical moment. The mountain demon was about to pounce, but a tui was still some distance away. He frantically looked around in all four directions. "Damn it! I won't make it!" A tui stared at the water jar. "That's water from the lake, used for the ritual. The raging water burst ability needs water as a medium, so I'll create the right conditions." He put his hand into the water jar. A tui shouted, "Let me control the current!" and sent the water rushing forward. Kiet Shuang stared wide-eyed at the bizarre stream of water before him as a tui's body transformed right in front of his eyes. His upper body was now at the very head of the stream. He muttered, "Raging water burst." A single blow struck directly, slamming the mountain demon flat onto the ground. He sighed in relief. "Made it?" But Kiet Shuang was horrified. "A tui, what happened to you, brother?" A tui, ignoring his strange appearance, said casually, "Brother Keet, get the child out of here. Leave this to me." Even though he didn't understand a thing, he still decided to get up, quickly scooping up the child and running. He didn't forget to call back, "Got it. I'll be back to help you later." A tui frowned, looking at the mountain demon on the ground. Why would something like this appear here? The smoke gradually faded. He looked in alarm at the empty ground. "It's gone!" The mountain demon appeared from the right, its sharp hand about to strike him. A tui reacted instantly, struggling to fight back. "Damn it!" He gritted his teeth, thinking, "It's too strong." The mountain demon attacked relentlessly, forcing him on the defensive, constantly dodging. A tui seized an opportunity and immediately countered. "Now!" He landed a direct punch while roaring, "Die!" Just then, Kiet Shuang returned with reinforcements. He shouted, "A tui, we're here!" Lap Ba, who had been brought along, quickly assessed the situation. The mountain demon had managed to injure a tui. He quickly grabbed its arm, gritting his teeth to endure the pain. "First, I need to restrain it." He turned his head and yelled, "Stab it in the ribs, don't slash!" The two followed his command, simultaneously stabbing both sides of its ribs. The mountain demon shrieked in agony. He looked it straight in the eye and growled, "You want my life? You're not good enough!" He kicked it, sending it flying. The mountain demon flew into the air and then crashed to the ground. A tui pressed his advantage, raising his hand and ordering his water snake, "Awee, go!" Awee shot out and bit down hard on the mountain demon's neck. In just a moment, its body began to show problems. He looked at the signs of poison on its skin and thought, "Awee's venom is no joke. That should be enough to make you suffer." The weakened mountain demon panted heavily, drool starting to drip from its mouth. It glanced at the curious crowd of commoners in the distance, and then lunged straight for them. Atai frowned and shouted, "Don't even think about it!" He grabbed a wooden stake and threw it at the mountain demon. The man-sized stake slammed right into the knife already embedded in its side. A fatal blow. Atai flew in and followed up with a kick. Looking at the motionless mountain demon on the ground, he sighed in relief. "I guess it's over." He only heard it rasp, "Become immortal. The swamp is here." The villagers were terrified, whispering amongst themselves. "What is it saying? It can talk? What kind of monster is this? The river god has come to punish us." Kitsung frowned and said, "The villagers' morale has collapsed." Lap Ba also looked troubled. "Damn it, if this continues, people won't be able to live their lives normally." But A Tui thought differently. "No, this is a gift." He said, "This is an opportunity for our Yihung village. Then he walked over to the mountain demon and pointed his knife straight at its head. He sliced off its head, held it up, and coldly declared, "This is the finest offering for the river god." System update. Huai River ritual complete. Favorability with the river plus 0.00. Scene 1. Morning at the ritual site in Gyeohung Village, early winter. An offering tray with a pig's head and beef has been prepared. Everyone is standing around the corpse of the mountain demon. A Tui sits to one side, thinking to himself, "The first reason I was able to defeat the mountain demon this time was because I broke through its protective hide in time. The second is that my resonance level shot up, making my physical body far stronger than a typical skin-level martial artist." He looks at his status screen, thinking happily, "I've finally gone from frail life to not worth mentioning." A Tui looks at his hand, reminding himself. The third reason was a Vi's poison. Otherwise, it's hard to say how that fight would have gone. The most important thing is that I now have the river that can upgrade the city annihilating skill, just as I thought, but it's not enough. The system panel displays Water Control Elixir. If I can obtain the river's resonance, it can evolve into the divine ability 1,000-mile water walk. Just then, the village chief brings someone over and says, "Atui, the doctor is here." The doctor looks at the wound on his body and remarks, "Young Master Luong, you truly have the arms of an ape and the waist of a bee. Excellent." Atawi gives a strained smile and replies, "Could you please take a look at the wound, doctor?" Hearing this, he replies, "Of course." The doctor then begins to bandage the wound, asking at the same time, "I wonder, what material are young Master Luong's cold-resistant clothes made from?" As Atui puts his clothes back on, he answers, "This large cloak was a gift from my second senior brother. It's made from bear dog hide, which is difficult for swords to pierce. The clothes were a gift from my 8th senior brother. It's woven with celestial silkworm silk." Hearing this, the man says, "That's still not enough, judging by the depth of this wound. Young Master Luong must have broken through the skin layer, haven't you?" Hearing this, the villagers are all astonished and exclaim in unison, "The skin layer?" He replies, flustered, "Yes, that's right." Murmurs of admiration rise from the crowd. Atui is incredible. He's really brought honor to our entire village. He's truly made his ancestors proud this time. Lapa smiles in admiration. Atui is a true martial artist now, and it took him less than a few months. Kiet Shuang looks over, thinking, "I still can't keep up with him, can I?" Kwang Din stands far in the back, looking on with a worried heart. "My God, that kid has gotten this strong. Is he planning to pick a fight with me?" The village chief then speaks up, asking, "Atui? What kind of monster is that?" The person next to him chimes in curiously, "Yeah, Atui." Everyone seems very worried. He looks at it and explains, "That monster is called a mountain demon. It normally feeds on flesh and blood. This time it was likely drawn here by the gathered lifeblood of everyone present." Atui's expression turns serious as he adds, "As for whether there are other mountain demons in Gyeohung, I can't be sure, but for 3 of them to appear at the same time, I suspect there's a demon involved." The crowd begins to exchange worried, uneasy glances. "A demon?" One person points to the offering altar and shouts, "Everyone! I'm telling you, doesn't that head on the rack look a little familiar?" Someone immediately recognizes it. "It looks a bit like Head Constable Trong." Another person agrees. "Now that you mention it, you're right. How did that scoundrel end up like this?" Atui furrows his brow deep in thought. Head Constable Trong? He recalls the information he had gathered. Alchemy, the Trio Manor, Mountain Demon, Lu Tiu Kong, Head Constable Trong, Phap Hua Temple. Atui grits his teeth, cursing himself. "Damn it, I should have figured it out sooner. Alchemy is part of it, yes. But raising mountain demons is the main objective." With that thought, he turns back to the village chief. "Chief, this isn't simple. I have to go to Binduang County to report this to my master. I suspect that mountain demon was Head Constable Trong." Atui's heart is now filled with determination. "For all of this, Wishdom, I will make them give me an explanation." Scene change to the Duong Manor. Mrs. Hua enters with her maid and asks, "Little Ninth, what brings you here today? It's rare to see you." "Around here." Atui stands there, clasping his hands in a salute. "Greetings, Master's wife. I've come to report a few things to Master." Afterwards, they all enter the reception hall of the Duong Manor. After recounting the story, he says, "And so, I suspect the mountain demon incident is connected to the Trio Manor." Mrs. Hua sips her tea and praises him. "Little Ninth, you are truly clever. It's no wonder your master values you so much." Atui is startled. This isn't a simple matter, but it seems Master's wife already knew about it. She closes her eyes, smiling faintly. "I know you're anxious, but don't forget who your master is." Mrs. Hua adds, He is Duong Dong Hung. In the entire Bin Duong region, he is the only one who has ever hunted that prey. Scene change to the demon mother's base. A figure is walking up a steep flight of stairs. Someone is drawn to something above, then immediately falls to the ground with a thud, pointing and stammering. What is that? Someone's attacking the camp. Quick, sound the alarm. In the sky, a massive golden blade appears, aimed at the demon mother's base. The giant blade pierces through the clouds, striking down. Atui's master appears, radiating an imposing aura, and declares, Duong Dong Hung is here! Surrender now, you fiends! It's late at night, but the sound of someone training relentlessly can still be heard. Atui relentlessly punches a wooden post, thinking to himself, I've been staying at Master's house for 2 days now. Master's wife had me stay at the martial arts hall so I wouldn't interfere with Master's operation. He grits his teeth. She even gave me a precious silver ingot worth 50 taels for my living expenses here. Mrs. Duong seemed to glow like a benevolent saint, saying, Take it. If it's not enough, just let me know. He looks at his arm and murmurs softly, My wound has healed quite a bit, thanks to the meat pills Master's wife gave me to recuperate. Atui continues, starting to get winded from his training. Master and his wife suspect the demon mother cult will launch a large-scale attack on the martial artists of our hall to use them for alchemy, so for my own safety they told me to stay here. Just then, a strange, spherical object flies toward him. He immediately bats it away. The sphere crashes into the wall, cracking a large section of it. Atui calls out cautiously, Who's there? Senior Brother Hu steps out from behind a tree, chuckling softly. Your awareness isn't bad, Junior Brother. Atui exclaims, So it was you, Senior Brother Hu. He says, I just got back and heard from Master's wife that you were here, Junior Brother. And sure enough, here you are. You're wondering why Senior Brother Hu only returned today, aren't you? He casually tossed you a spear, saying it was all just a small matter. Come on, you know how to use a spear, don't you? Spar with me for a couple of rounds. We can talk while we fight. Ah Shui's expression suddenly changed. In that case, I won't hold back, Senior Brother. He got into a stance and gestured, Please, instruct me. Senior Brother Hu tossed the small ball in his hand into the air. It immediately bounced towards you. Taking advantage of Ah Shui's distraction, Senior Brother Hu braced his spear and lunged forward. The two began to fight. For a moment, they were evenly matched. Seeing Ah Shui get distracted, Senior Brother Hu smirked. An opening! He struck directly at the spear in your hand and you couldn't hold it steady. The spear immediately flew from your hand, clattering far away. Seizing the opportunity, Senior Brother Hu pressed his attack even harder. Without a spear, Ah Shui instinctively used his fists to continue the fight. Senior Brother Hu grinned. Come on! The fight only ended when the small ball from earlier, which was actually a small orange, fell to the ground. Senior Brother Hu looked at Ah Shui, who was sitting on the ground, panting heavily. He said softly, It seems my junior brother has broken through the skin-tempering realm. Your speed, as expected of someone with a destiny. Ah Shui's eyes widened. Destiny? He reached out a hand, offering to help you up. The day you were tested for your destiny wasn't that long ago. Master will explain it to you when the time comes. Let's continue. You grabbed his hand, your voice firm. All right, let's continue. And so, the two of them sparred for several more rounds. Shouts echoed through the open space. Not enough. More power. Don't relax. Get up. Keep going. After a long while, Ah Shui was exhausted, panting to catch his breath. Senior Brother Hu sat down beside him. He began to speak softly. What you said about the Zhao Manor. It's generally not much different from what I investigated. It's just that I feel like everything was a bit too much. You asked, a bit too much? He nodded. Yes. It's as if someone intentionally left clues. As he said this, he frowned. Or maybe I'm just being a little too sensitive. Senior Brother Hu abruptly changed the subject. Oh, right, Junior Brother, since you've just broken through the skin-tempering realm, this book will definitely be suitable for you. It's the force channeling method, perfect for someone like you who has just entered this realm. He explained, martial arts are divided into two main types. One is techniques, the other is force methods. A force method is a way to circulate your qi and blood, a deeper form of control. Only martial artists who have broken through and possess a certain amount of qi and blood can use it. It's a way to control all the qi, blood, and power in your body, turning it all into your own strength. While Ah Shui was staring wide-eyed at the book, he stood up. Go ahead and read it. Later, we'll use this method to spar. You looked up, puzzled. Thank you, Senior Brother Hu. Senior Brother, you still haven't told me why you were looking for me. Senior Brother Hu looked as if he'd just remembered something important. I almost forgot. 6th Senior Brother sent me to find you. He said, Junior Brother, Sixth senior brother has finished forging your spirit weapon. Hearing this, Ashui immediately became excited. Meanwhile, in the dungeons of the demon mother cult, a mountain demon was bound by countless iron chains, its throat emitting broken guttural sounds. Ga! Cha! Outside the cage, a guard shouted, "Move it!" Gui Yong watched the line of ragged people being pushed along. He noticed a small child, thinking to himself, about the same age as my little daughter. The man who had been shouting at the front of the line turned back to remind Gui Yong, "Brother Lin, what are you doing?" "Lord Wu is waiting." They gathered into a line and reported, "My lord, the elixir ingredients for this time have been fully prepared. In 3 days we can feed them to that thing." Another man's voice spoke up. "That's right. This one is a precious variant. We must serve it well. But the elixir ingredients are even more important." Inside another cell, a soft, mournful voice whispered in the darkness. "Father, Mother, where are you?" "Old man, wake up." A thin, frail old man lying on a pile of straw coughed violently. He opened his eyes, repeatedly calling out, "Xiao Hui!" Those with fiery tempers often use explosive weapons. Those with gentle tempers use flexible armor. The furnace blazed with scorching heat. Sixth Gang was diligently forging the metal. He placed a feather on the piece of metal, letting it slowly burn. The second stage is to stimulate the energy within the feather. Then let the dark metal absorb it. After that, he added another dark object into the forge. Sixth Gang said, "This is a shadow fringe hide. It exists between the void and reality, able to slip into shadows to absorb blood essence. Wait until your long spear takes shape, then you'll see." He suddenly turned and shouted to the person beside him. "Little junior brother, quickly!" Ashui shouted back, "Coming!" You took a knife and made a cut on your hand. A spirit weapon requires the master's blood to complete the final step of soul tempering. Each drop of blood that fell carried an unspoken oath. A fire phoenix shot out from the forge, circling once in the sky. Sixth Gang took the spear and thrust it into the flames. Suddenly, he noticed something unusual and gritted his teeth to resist. Not good. Is the weapon spirit resisting? Sixth Gang frowned and muttered, "Dead, yet still so stubborn." He pushed with more force, and this time the spear went straight through the forge. He let out a sigh of relief and called Ashui over. "Little junior brother, the weapon is ready. Give it a try." He said, "This is the spirit weapon that belongs to you." Ashui, his heart filled with emotion, touched the spear and said softly, "It's so heavy. It must be at least 10 catties." You pulled the spear from the ground with effort. You swung it to warm up, and a trail of fire lingered in its path. Ashui thought to himself, "There's a connection between me and this spear, a bond of breath." "And blood!" Sixth Gang pointed behind him. "There are wooden stakes in the backyard. Go give it a try." You did as he said, practicing a few moves. Sixth Gang stood to the side, clapping and admiring your skill. "Good form. Junior brother, you still haven't given this spear a name." Ashui looked at it and smiled softly. "Let's call this spear Fubo." Just then, a voice called out, "It seems our junior brother's weapon is finished." You exclaimed in surprise, "Senior brother who? And senior brother Shu?" Walking right behind senior brother Hu was Shu Zizhou. Shui looked surprised. "Senior brother Shu, this is—" He chuckled softly. "Let him tell you himself." Clearly, Master sent him to gather information. Tu Cho tilted his head shyly. Taverns and theaters really are the best places to eavesdrop. Six Gang put his hands on his hips and was the first to ask. "All right, Tu, did you hear anything?" Tu Cho said, "I actually did find a place that might be a stronghold for the Ghost Mother cult." He said, "At the time, I was admiring the flowers, while on the surface I was charming the courtesans at the brothel, putting on the act of a hedonistic young master." He glanced at the strange group that had just walked in, thinking to himself, "I really don't get what these cultists are thinking. Wearing black cloaks in broad daylight? Aren't they just asking for trouble?" The courtesans surrounded Tu Cho, constantly offering him drinks. "Young master, have a drink." "Drink mine," Tu Cho recounted with a proud tone. So it was effortless to follow them. "I found their stronghold right near Fapua Temple. Mission accomplished perfectly." Hearing this, Six Gang rubbed his chin. "So it's Fapua Temple. Looks like we'll have to, continue with the mission Master gave us, given the situation. It seems a direct assault is the best option," he said to Senior Brother Hu. "If that's really the case, then tomorrow we'll go to their stronghold and capture them." Senior Brother Hu immediately accepted the task. "As you command, Senior Brother." Tu Cho jumped over and slung an arm around Atui's shoulders. "This time, Tioku, you're coming with us." Atui was flustered. Is there something for me to do?" He put on a serious face. "Little junior brother, it's time you saw some blood. You won't be able to avoid it forever. You should know, our master has quite a few enemies." Six Gang immediately rushed over and smacked him on the head. Thwack! Don't listen to his nonsense. He turned to the boy. Tuku, what do you think? Atui thought for a moment, then nodded. I understand. Then I'll go too tomorrow. Inside the Ghost Mother cult's stronghold, a mountain demon, bound in chains, was moaning incessantly. A respectful voice spoke up. Steward Zheng, this way. He pointed at the mountain demon and continued. Steward Zheng, the tiger demon's spirit is not bad. It's been eating well. Zheng Xiang immediately snapped. Get out! Don't disturb me and my child. The man immediately obeyed. Yes, Steward Zheng. Please take your time. He raised his hand, murmuring, My dear Hao Ni, you've suffered. If you hadn't turned into this. His hand gently caressed the tiger demon's cheek, his eyes gradually turning vicious. How could you help your father achieve his grand destiny of becoming an immortal? On an early winter night, atop a mountain not far from Fap Hua Temple, rows of raggedly dressed people were being led away. A girl caught the eye of the hooded men. Well, looks like we've got some high-quality goods in today's batch of medicinal ingredients. Another man yelled, It's this degenerate who can't control his lower half again. He chuckled, his voice fawning. Boss, just for a little bit. The other man, looking disgusted, reluctantly agreed. Make it quick. If you mess up the Emperor's business, you'll be the next delicacy. The three had arrived at the location, looking down coldly. Atui said, Senior brother too? It must be here. He sighed. It's a good thing Master left Haxi with us. Without his sharp senses, we'd never have found the sign Tu left. Suddenly, Haxi started barking loudly. Six Gang immediately bent down to pet him. Atui asked, Oh, right. Where did Senior Brother Tu go? He replied, Tu? Elsewhere, Tu Cho silently drew his bow. He released his hand and the arrow flew. The pervert from before had gotten the girl, his tone vile. Don't worry, boss. I'll be right. An arrow shot forward, aiming straight for him. He was thrown back, his entire body slamming into the wall. Someone immediately shouted, Enemy attack! Quick! Senior Brother Hu spoke up. That's the signal from 4th Senior Brother. Six Gang gave the order. Let's go! He dashed through the night, his eyes cold. The courtyard gate was smashed open by something strange, sending dust flying everywhere. Six Gang appeared without a single scratch on him. The group of men hadn't even recovered from the shock. Atui was amazed. So this is the power of a galloping horse? Senior Brother Hu reminded him. Little Junior Brother, you're spacing out. What are you doing? It's our turn. Hearing that, he snapped back to reality. Right. Six Gang continued to fight, taking down one man after another with his bare hands. The others, as if fearless, charged forward one by one. 2 more arrows flew in, helping Six Gang deal with the enemies. He looked up at Tu Cho on the roof and nodded in satisfaction. Tu Cho gave a slight smile in return. Senior Brother Hu and Atui quickly rushed in to handle the remaining men. Some of them recognized Atui's weapon and yelled, A long spear isn't suited for tight spaces. Surround him! Contrary to what they thought, he nimbly used that very long spear to take care of them. He moved gracefully, swiftly giving each man a deep cut on the neck. Six Gang looked back and said, Little Junior Brother, take Haxi and find the hostages, then get them out of here. Atui nodded. Yes! In the underground corridor, a group of enemies who had escaped were rushing to find reinforcements. Enemy attack! Get out there and fight them! Their morale was beginning to crumble. It's finally over. I won't have to bear this sin anymore. Brother Lin, we have to run. They've already broken in. Guillaume clutched his head, mumbling. Everyone in that temple, they're all dead. It's all my fault. I let that woman escape. There was even a child inside, just like my daughter. He had completely broken down. I can't take it anymore. We're all sinners. The guilty can't escape punishment, Ashia asked, confused. Brother Lin, what are you talking about? Just then a blade slashed across Ashia's shoulder. He collapsed before Gui Yong's horrified eyes. The attacker spoke. Don't blame me, Liang. This is all Zhao Hongyuan and Zheng Xiang's fault. He said Zheng Xiang is still here. I still have to save my family. I have to go. Seeing the situation turning sour, Zheng Xiang immediately yelled at his 4 subordinates. Is Yang Dongsheng really enough to scare you all this much? He gritted his teeth. Release all the caged mountain ghouls! Scatter them across the peak! His men mumbled hesitantly. Yes, sir. He thought to himself, this is definitely a trap set by Zhao Hongyuan, sending me here again and again only for things like this to happen. Suddenly he smirked. But this is a perfect opportunity. If I can just get out through the secret passage, I can still turn this around. Early the next morning at the gate of the bandit stronghold, Zhou spoke with disgust. A bunch of scum. Their deaths are no great loss. He then wondered, where did our junior brother go? Senior Brother Hu answered. He's escorting those people down the mountain. Liu Gong said that things are wrapped up here. I reckon he should be on his way back by now. Let's go. He frowned, saying, I'm worried. The stench of blood here is too thick. It feels like something is hidden. In the courtyard, weapons littered the ground and bodies were scattered beside piles of rubble. Shui and Heishi circled the area as he wondered, "Are there any other prisoners around here?" He approached a mysterious stone door. "What's this? The entrance to a secret passage?" Shui glanced at Heishi, wondering if its reaction meant someone was still trapped inside. Without hesitating, he moved closer and opened the door. Light flooded the passage within. As soon as he stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind him. Before him was an elaborately built stone path lit by rows of candles. The system appeared, displaying a new mission. Activating, subduing the mountain demons. Current progress, 0. Completing subduing the mountain demons will earn the favor of the Chuanju Divine Emperor. For each level of divine insight achieved, the divine insight talent will double. Additionally, damage against water-type beasts will increase by 1/10. Shui stared at the system panel, confused. Chuanju Divine Emperor. Subduing mountain demons? Is this a system quest? Suddenly, Heishi sensed something. It started barking fiercely. In front of him, a mountain ghoul bared its jagged teeth. He frowned. A mountain ghoul. Just then, dozens of yellow eyes appeared in the darkness.
There are so many.
They all looked like lesser mountain ghouls. He planted his spear in the ground. I understand now. Shui stretched his arms and said coolly, "So it looks like I can't get out of here until I defeat you all." The look in his eyes sharpened. A cold voice escaped his throat. "Well then, let's begin." Shui mumbled, "My body has been developing thanks to the training these past few days. After all, the growth rate of a Jai Ding is incredibly fast." As a lesser mountain ghoul charged, he sent it smashing into the wall with a single kick. "Let's see just how much stronger I've become." System update. Subduing the mountain demons. Progress, 1. He grabbed his spear, no longer hesitating, and thrust it towards them, wounding another lesser ghoul. The system notifications kept coming. Subduing the mountain demons. Progress, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Blood splattered onto his clothes and cheek, making his cold gaze even more intense. Shui said, "Bring it on! Round 2!" A horde of lesser ghouls charged simultaneously. The one he had stabbed earlier was still alive, struggling on the ground. Shui dashed towards the door up ahead. Several more lesser ghouls appeared in front of him. He grabbed his spear and sliced 2 of them in half with one swing, subduing the mountain demons. Progress, 33, 11. Shui exhaled, asking quietly, "Is it over?" Just then, a voice echoed from behind him. "Liang Chu, is it really you?" He frowned. "Someone else is here?" Zheng Shang appeared, his eyes sharp with killing intent. "I never expected the little orphan who used to do nothing but catch fish could make it this far." Shui was stunned. "Zheng Shang!" He dragged Lu Chongsan forward, growling, "Perfect timing. I have a gift for you. Look, it's the father of your precious instructor Lu. He's here to save you!" Hearing this, Shui's eyes widened in shock. "Lu Chongsan? Instructor Lu's father?" He snarled, "Zheng Shang, my senior brothers are nearby. I'm taking you down today," Zheng Shang sneered. "Take me down! Hootsie!" The wall behind Shui exploded as a figure charged out. The man was twice Shui's size. He looked up, completely stunned. "What is that thing?" Zheng Shang laughed maniacally. "Come on! Let's just see who takes down whom." At dawn, in early winter, at a stronghold of the Ghost Mother cult, Liu Gong's group was rushing forward when Zizhou called out from behind, "Senior brothers!" "Do we really need to be in such a hurry?" Senior Brother Hu nodded in agreement. "He's right. The mountain ghouls we ran into were only at the Piguan realm," Liu Gong said tensely. "If Little Nine is only facing lesser ghouls, then there's nothing to fear. But what I'm afraid of is that there's a greater mountain ghoul in there. That would be at the Benma realm." Atui was deep in thought, stressed. "Since I was reborn, this is the most dangerous situation I've ever faced." Before him was Hu Tu, staring with blood-red eyes, muscular arms, a body so massive it was unimaginable. Atui tightened his grip on the fuba in his hand, facing the creature head-on. There was no doubt about it. There was a fledgling demon here with power close to the galloping horse realm. He pursed his lips, telling himself, "But how could I just surrender without a fight?" Atui recalled moments of happiness and let out a cold, silent laugh. "What am I even thinking? I worked so hard to get the life I have today." He officially made up his mind. How could I just let it all go like this? Without hesitation, Atui charged straight towards Hu Tu. Danger has always been a part of life. An image of himself from his past life flashed by and his resolve hardened. A life of hardship and struggle couldn't beat me. Atui leaped into the air and began to unleash his final blow. So why should I be afraid of something like this? However, every one of his attacks was nimbly dodged by the creature. Hutu seized the opportunity, clenched its fist, and threw a punch into Atui's stomach. In his shock, the powerful force sent him flying backward. He had to drag the Fuba along the ground just to barely stabilize himself. Before Tui could even get his bearings, the creature on the other side charged at him again. This time, not letting it happen again, he quickly jumped aside, letting Hutu crash into the stone wall behind him. Zheng Song, who had been watching from the beginning, assessed him in astonishment. Has this kid really only been at the martial arts hall for half a year? Atui and Hutu charged at each other again, clashing head-on. He cheered excitedly, "Good boy! Kill him for me!" With cold, determined eyes, Atui gripped the Fuba tightly, ready to deliver the decisive blow. The tip of the Fuba pierced Hutu's bicep. The metallic stench of fresh blood filled the air. The creature took the opportunity while Atui was attacking to swing a powerful fist. The immense force slammed him into the floor, shattering the surrounding rock and dirt. It was a testament to the destructive power of that punch. Seeing Atui fall, Zheng Xiang laughed proudly. "Now, do you feel like you can handle me?" He tried to force his aching body up, thinking to himself, "The difference in our strength is just too great. Damn it!" Suddenly, the system displayed a notification. The time for the mountain-chasing, demon-subduing mission has ended. Now, calculating. Atui was completely bewildered. "What is this?" The system continued to display. Mountain-chasing, demon-subduing progress is 32. Compatibility has reached the 3rd level. You have gained the favor of the host 1 time. It continued to display information in front of Atui. Gained the favor of host Emperor Zelling 1 time. You can now fuse with a portion of host Emperor Zelling. Obtain martial path. Damage of water-type beasts is doubled, increased by 1 portion. Do you wish to fuse? He smirked and guessed, "So this is my lucky break, huh?" Lying on the shattered stones, Atui was both confused and overjoyed, concluding, "But how can luck be considered a part of one's strength?" Without another moment of hesitation, he made the decision. Fuse. As he said it, Atui found himself in a mystical space. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind. Where am I? His glowing pupils opened wide, observing his surroundings in confusion. What is this? My body, I can't move it. A black dragon appeared, coiling majestically. It spoke in a deep voice, questioning, "Divine Lord, are you truly going to show no mercy at all?" He looked up and wondered, "Divine Lord? Who?" Atui, in the form of the Divine Lord, spoke with a stern face. "For violating the heavenly laws, there is only one path. Death. Surrender without a fight. That is your only path to survival." In contrast to his cold expression, he was cheering internally. "I'm the Divine Lord. I've entered the Divine Lord's body." The black dragon opened its mouth and roared, "Insolence!" Its colossal form flickered in and out of the ethereal mist, revealing scales as black and glossy as tempered steel and eyes that blazed with spiritual light as it charged forward. Atui's expression didn't change. He calmly announced, "This move is called..." As he finished speaking, he brandished his long spear, which radiated a sky-high killing intent, ready to strike. Back on the other side, Zheng Xiang looked at the figure behind the cloud of dust and smiled with amusement. "You're not even skilled, yet you come here to cause trouble for me?" He pounded his chest, revealing his inner turmoil. "What did I do wrong? Everything I've done to get to this point was just to beg for a chance to live." Full of resentment, Zheng Xiang gritted his teeth and hissed, "You people were born with powerful patrons to help you, but all I have is my son. All I can do is beg. Beg for a chance to live." Zheng Xiang screamed like a madman. "For this position of head steward, how long have I fought? Zhao Hongyuan is a blind bastard. What could any of you possibly understand?" Then, he pointed his finger and gave a decisive order. "Kill him!" Hutu leaped up to deliver the finishing blow as instructed by Zheng Xiang. Atui lay motionless. Only his eyes were blazing, staring straight ahead. A heaven-shaking explosion rocked the ground. A powerful force erupted, creating a blinding white dome of light that blasted away all the surrounding rubble. Zheng Xiang shouted in confusion, "What was that?" After the dust settled, his dark brown hair fluttered in the wind. Atui, with his blazing eyes, stared straight ahead. From within the dark, ethereal mist, Atui's powerful figure slowly emerged.